It's arguably the world's most renowned racetrack.
From the get-go, they know I need to be on it.
We knew the competition is going to be even harder now.
You could feel the pressure.
It was intense.
I was pretty nervous.
I reckon there's going to be a few surprises.
It's not like any other track in the world.
It's a scary track.
The elevation changes are incredible. So many blind turns.
If people miss their braking point, if people get scared at the wrong moment, you're straight into a wall.
We're getting close to the final, and they knew someone is going home. They could sense it.
This is the circuit where we're going to see people show us if they've got it or they haven't.
It's a pressure cooker.
Hello and welcome back to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We look forward to another great week of action. So much to talk about. So many people that are joining us, and what comes next week, we're about to find out. This is what to look forward to. It's week number 3 of 5, halfway through our championship, and once again we bring you one of the biggest grids in the virtual world, made up of both real-life drivers, the best sim racers in the world, and some legends of motorsport gone by. Drivers that include Jenson Button, Emerson Fittipaldi, Dario Franchitti, Juan Pablo Montoya, who will all be racing in our Legends Trophy. We also currently have stars in Formula 1, World Endurance Championship, Formula E, and Indycar, as well as some of the biggest manufacturers like Bentley Motorsport, Mercedes-AMG Petronas, Aston Martin, and BMW in the Pro Cup. And then, of course, like I said, we've got the fastest sim drivers in the world in the Sim Masters Championship. Once again, all of the action comes to you via R-Factor 2, and this week we've got something extra special because it just so happens that R-Factor 2 is the first sim to have the brand new 2020 Zandvoort circuit layout, and we are pleased to present it to you right here on The Race. And once again, my name is Matt Trivet. I'm joined, as always, by Jolyon Palmer. And Jolyon, we just touched on it. The first big surprise or first big announcement, we have the first race ever, arguably, on the new 2020 Zandvoort layout.
Very exciting, really. It's a true driver's track. I have to say, never been there, the old one, but people love it. And the new one, of course, with the big banking as well. Super excited. Also, we've got Fernando Alonso joining us for the Legends race as well. So another legend adds to the grid. Can't wait.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. I was a massive Alonso fan growing up. Certainly influenced me. And it's no yoke, Jolyon, that he's here. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll see how he gets on. Obviously, perhaps part of that has to do as well with the fact that we've got an Indy race for the Masters next week. You may have seen that on social media. If not, go follow We Are The Race. Maybe he wants to get some seat time for that. Who knows? But going to be a ton of fun. We'll look at the schedule as well because the day does break down. with our 6 races, if you will, but our 3 series, more importantly. So our Pro Cup to start things off. That's our pro drivers waiting to go racing again in the real world, but have been absolutely loving the sim action we've been providing with them, followed by our Sim Masters, and then our Legends Trophy, and that's where Alonso will take part. We've had Sebastian Vettel in there in the past weeks as well. It's got Montoya, it's got Kanaan, it's got everyone. And we break it down according to this. A little bit longer for the Legends, 18 minutes apiece, but 15 minutes for each of the Pro Cup and Sim Masters races. And the championship is extremely close, both for the drivers and the manufacturers. And I just want to point out there has been slight changes to those standings because each week our group of stewards review the races after the fact, and they can apply point deductions or various altercations based on what they saw. And there was one in the Legends Trophy, which we'll talk about, but we'll look at those now. Pretty impressive, Julian, that it's this close. Esteban Gutierrez 1 point over Nicky Team.
Super close. And look at the teams they're driving for as well. Charlie Eastwood and Ant Davidson also doing really good jobs for Aston Martin and Mercedes. And then last week's winner, Tom Dillman, keeping them all honest. But Aston Martin and Mercedes really romping away with their 2 drivers, scoring very big in the 2 weeks of the Pro Cup so far.
Yeah, and 1 point at the top for the drivers as well as the teams, which is a crazy championship. This is starting to get interesting as well. It looks a little bit more spread out given it's a 10 points spread, but Simoncic ahead of Huis, that's still very wide open. And you can see Burst Esports as a result of Simoncic's efforts quite far ahead, but Mercedes is right there. Brendan Lee's been scoring as well, and it's, again, pretty tight.
Yeah, the sim racing, I mean, when you have 1 point for the pros, it makes 10 points look big. But in reality, 10 points, that can swing around so quickly with the 2 races we've got. And there's probably 4 or 5 that are right in the hunt for that as well, down to Kevin Siggy, Brzezinski as well in third. So that's also super close.
Yeah, very, very close. Well, one of our Legends drivers is Emanuele Pirro, who's been doing a phenomenal job since the very beginning of the race doing these sim races and was the leader in the championship. But Emanuele, they took some points away from a few drivers, and now you and Button are locked head to head again. How's that going to go?
Bloody stewards.
I'll take the fight for you. I agree. Listen, it's been a lot of fun. You're still sitting in the camping chair having a good time. I think they're going to rebrand that chair maybe and sell it to some sim racers. You're setting the standard.
I felt a little bit ashamed to show people where I'm sitting, but okay, it is what it is, and I've got a fisherman chair with a professional drinking bottle, which I think many people have. And in fact, if you see the gear stick, initially I was using it because I think the essence of these old cars is to use the gear lever. But then when it got a little more competitive, I thought, I want to gain a little bit of performances. So I'm now, let's say, cheating with the paddle. But these cars should be driven without traction, without ABS.
Listen. No shame at all in where you're sitting. You're showing that it's all driver, not machine. Thank you very much, Emanuele. We'll be right back after this. Once again, for those of you joining us on the live stream, he says he's ashamed to show his machine. I don't think he should. I love that it's, it is what it is, and he's driving the snot out of it.
I actually think that's second to Jacques Villeneuve, who was there with just his Xbox controller. But Emanuele Pirro in his camping chair, fair play. He's got the drink. He's making use of that camping chair. He's got the drinks in. Keep hydrated. We've heard so many drivers say that they're sweating a lot. They're finding it hard work. So Pirro's in there racking up the laps, drink on tap. It's good stuff. And he's quick. He's so quick.
He is quick. I love that he mentioned, I used to use the shifter, but it's getting competitive, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I love that. That just shows the nature of how serious they are getting in the Legends Trophy. I mean, all of this is getting serious. The pro drivers as well are getting faster and faster. Mike Epps, who's actually been put into the Sim Trophy, or the Sim Masters, excuse me, he's been very close. I think he had a podium last week. So, yeah, it's been very, very tight. We're just sitting now waiting to speak with one other driver from the Pro Series, I believe, as we wait to jump in. Excuse me. I take that back. I was misinformed. We've actually got to look. So you mentioned Fernando Alonso joining us. He's just one legend. Last week, we showed that anyone can win from anywhere. From 16th to 1st, Peta Solberg drifted his way very cleanly in a chaotic race to win in Portugal.
Papis gets away fine from pole, but a very, very messy start from Helio Castroneves, who's gone. He's on his way into the turn one, and everybody else now into the first corner. Button's seeing the carnage unfold in front of him. Franchitti and Montoya getting into each other, and Button's been hit by Montoya, and now he's been hit, and now he's upside down.
Look at Solberg there at the steering wheel, just correcting oversteer the whole way through the corner. He's clearly a man that is happy sliding a car around.
And now Petter Solberg's going to try and take 2-in-1 onto the brakes into the first corner. Max Papis is still in the lead, but for how long? Salo goes flying in. Far too much speed, and he's off the circuit, and Petter Solberg now leads.
Solberg from 4th to 1st in one corner then.
Here is Solberg again. This is the drifting. Look how much he loads it up. Front left's off the floor. And it's a win in the reverse grid race for Petter Solberg, his first win of the season.
It may have been a reverse grid win, but he came from far back. That was super impressive. And I have to say, you said it best. A man who's used to going sideways was incredibly good at it. Avoided the carnage. I think that's key in the Legends race. What a job. And we're about to see more of that coming up in just 1 second. Welcome back, everyone, to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We're getting ready to get underway with our pro drivers race to start things off, as always, and that means we've got to bring in our third commentator, the man who gives you the lovely words and covers all the action. Jack Nichols joining us. Just jumped on the call. Looking forward to this week.
Yeah, I really am. I can't wait to see the Zandvoort circuit and see what kind of racing it provides, because obviously it's been a little bit reprofiled with that in mind. So what effects will that make in the sim world?
Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, the massively steep banking on the last corner, turn 4 as well, has been altered. It looks the same from above, so our aerial layout looks no different than what you're used to. But I do think, and just to touch on it as well, we're in the same cars. You've got the BT44, the Brabham for the Legends, and then for the pro and sim drivers, it's the Formula race, which has DRS. But I think, in theory, with more camber on that last corner and less reliance on clean air and downforce, you might actually get some drafting potential down that front straight and overtaking into corner 1, Julian.
I think so. I mean, it should be flat out, but the camber will help the following car not wash wide, basically, with dirty air. It's quite a long drag down to that first corner then, and a reasonable braking zone when we get there. So we're off the back of 2 big overtaking circuits, but hopefully this one can be a third. This is a look at the lap then with the Formula race car, and this part's all tight and twisty. It's the old school Zandvoort circuit, very undulating, big old oversteering, bumpy as well. You can see the lock up on the front right. Then it's into a fast section here, but it's going to be very difficult to do anything about a guy in front, because look how narrow it is, and then you arrive at this screamer of a fast corner out the back. Very quick right-hander, and then very quickly into another section of pretty fast corners as well, and long corners. So this area, I think, is going to be harder to follow. This is a very scrappy lap we're looking at here. Wide of the apexes and sliding all over the place. And we'll be damaging the tyres, something else to look out for. But yeah, then we open it up at the end of the lap, and this is where I think it can get more exciting for the overtaking.
And this obviously, the tight chicane will lead to the last sector. And Jack, this is the corner everyone's going to be talking about.
Yeah, so this Ari Leyendijk corner used to just be flat through the right-hander, but look how much it banks all the way through the right-hander. So that's the kind of new part of the circuit. The rest of it is fairly traditional, as it's been since the Zandvoort circuit was originally shortened in the 1980s. So great to have these iconic corners back in Formula One as well. You know, Tarzan, an iconic corner. Up into Skyflak, an iconic corner. It's really great.
Yeah, and it's very much the same layout, but very modern as well. So it'll be interesting. I love that they've kept the characteristics of the track. That banked corner, the last corner, perhaps is foreshadowing as well, because not only are we the first people to do the race on Zandvoort, we're going to Indy next week with the Legends Trophy. Think of all the drivers in that field that have been at Indy, that have been successful at Indy, and here's what it's going to look like next week.
Franchitti up the inside of Adrian Fernandez. Montoya sends it on Mikazano. He's so close.
Pretty insane. I think there's something like 12 Indy 500 wins currently on the grid in our Legends. So imagine that. And maybe Fernando joins next week as well. How ridiculously cool is it that we're going to see IndyCar and that driver field? Maybe even the best Indy 500 field ever, Jack?
We've got some real IndyCar legends there, haven't we? And I think, seeing like a Jenson Button getting involved in that fight as well is going to be interesting, because he always said he would never do an oval race. But now he is doing one. So it's going to be really, really fun to see what he does on an oval, because, I mean, it's going to be new for me as well. I've never called an oval race. So we'll see how well that goes.
Well, we'll see. And it's also, I mean, Jensen's a changed man. He once said to me he was slow in a sim and didn't like playing them, and now he's dominating the field. We'll see if that continues when we come back just after this. Don't forget as well, there's lots for you guys to do at home and to get involved. In fact, Rocket Phones is giving you guys an incredible chance to actually not only watch and participate, but maybe even take home some merch. This is how it works. If you'd like a chance to win a Rocket Phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and answer this question. Who are the current Williams Formula One drivers? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to the race fans on rocketphones.com right now. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER, and you'll receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones worth $44.99 when you buy any phone. You can currently purchase a Rocket IO Pro phone for just £99 or the Rocket IO 3D for just £69, giving race fans a great deal on a new phone. Lots of cool stuff going on. We just touched on Indy and the Legends. Jack, I think we've got a legend standing by that definitely has shown success there in the real world. Maybe even next week could have the same fate in the virtual.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's catch up with Tony Kanaan, shall we? Ahead of the race, first of all, in Zandvoort. But before that, I guess we've got to look ahead to the race at Indianapolis next weekend for the Legends Trophy, where it's going to be great to see Tony going head-to-head with all the other legends out there, as he has done before with a lot of them anyway. So hopefully we can speak to Tony. Don't think we've got it. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Tony Kanaan, can you hear me? How are you doing? You looking forward to the race today?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you good. So before we talk about Zandvoort, just a quick one on running the Indy Oval circuit next week. You looking forward to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm getting ready for the race in 50 minutes, but I can't wait. I mean, when they said they're doing the Indy 500, for me, it was like, I thought I had an upper hand, but I mean, I'm against legends that either they raced there, they won there. If you think about on the field between myself, Gilles Defer, and Emerson Fittipaldi, I mean, we had more than almost 10 Indy 500 wins there. So it's going to be awesome. Obviously, it's in the same weekend that we were supposed to be racing. Today was actually pole day, supposed to be the pole days, and we're here on the simulator. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see. It's going to be a great weekend next weekend.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for joining us, Tony. Best of luck for today.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I think, like all of us, Matt, everybody's buzzing for Indy next weekend. We're all trying to focus on Zandvoort. We've got a really cool race coming up today, but you just can't help but think forward to Indianapolis coming up next week, where the legends will also be in contemporary, real-life, modern cars as well, which will make a bit of a difference to their historic F1 cars they're with today.
Welcome back once again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. As promised, we're getting close to the action. We've got our pro drivers, on the grid, pretty much ready to go at this point. So qualifying just around the corner. But this has certainly been an interesting series. As Julian, you and I looked at, the point standings are 1 point between the top in both the drivers and the manufacturer's title right now.
It's all to play for, absolutely. So, I mean, the reverse grid aspect just changes the game, because one good race normally means you start at the front, but then you start at the back. And if you get involved in chaos or you don't put it together, you lose a heap of points. So it's about consistency and performance. And look how tight that is. Gutierrez and Nicky team. Charlie Eastwood's just been that picture of consistency in third. So it'll be interesting to see if he can pick up a win or at least a podium in today's racing.
Absolutely. And Jack, I mean, slight changes this week as well to that reverse grid. We do it based on qualifying so that you kind of have to push in the race. You can't sandbag if something goes wrong. But if there's 107%, I'll get through that rule in effect that if you don't qualify there, you don't qualify for the reverse grid. And now it only goes back to position 32. So you can't sandbag on purpose. So there's even more in it in terms of being motivated to push from the off.
Yeah, and you can see the amount of teams that we've got entered from Mercedes, from Hyundai, from BMW. Excited to see what Bajcevic can do today, actually, for BMW, Bentley, and then we've got some other entrants. Andreas Lascaratos was very quick last time out in Portugal, but it is a proper reverse grid as well. It's not just a case of, for the second race, you'll start 8th or maybe 9th or maybe 10th, depending on a draw or the particular rules. You're going to be starting 32nd if you win the race. So it is really, really intense for these drivers. They really have to work for it to try and carve back through the field.
Well, we'll see if they can. We're getting very, very close to jumping in. Qualifying absolutely is going to be important if you are at the front, because there's no guarantee for that reverse grid. We're going to jump into it right now and see if our protagonists can continue to lead, starting off with Esteban Gutierrez.
Board with the Mercedes driver. He's coming up now towards the chicane, towards the end of the lap. He's on his out lap at the moment, is Gutierrez, and a reminder that he is the man leading the Pro Cup Championship. Win and a 9th in the first event, a 3rd and a 22nd in the second event, and he is just 1 point ahead of Nicky Team as he comes charging down to turn 1, keeping it in the middle of the road for quite a long way down the straight there, Jolien.
Indeed, barreling huge speed as well into turn 1 there, almost braking and turning at the same time. It's so late into that corner, a lot of cambered corners which do help attacking the entry speed. And Gutierrez, we're going to see a lot of lockups today. We're going to see that because it's so bumpy, and basically that creates lockups. You lose contact patch on the tyre, and it makes it very hard on the brakes and on traction. And we've seen that a few times in these cars as well. So far, this lap actually looks pretty tidy from Gutierrez, halfway around it.
Here he comes then, back into this sequence of right-handers out the far part of the circuit in the dunes, just next to the beach of Zandvoort, from where you can get a nice direct train down into Amsterdam. About half an hour or so on the train, I would say, as he comes into the chicane now. Good middle sector for Gutierrez as he gets on the power now towards the final corner, but it's only when he comes across the line that we'll get a real idea of what kind of lap time he's managed to produce. Through the final corner at Arie Luyendyk now, out towards the timing beam. And what's this going to be for Gutierrez? He cuts it now. Tom Ingram is quickest at the moment, but Gutierrez goes to the top. 400ths quicker than Ingram. Yafei across the line, and Nicky Team goes third. So that's a good qualifying performance from Nicky Team, albeit half a second away from Gutierrez. Anthony Davidson across the line to go into 11th. Agustin Canapino goes up into 13th place. So the lap times coming in. Drivers might get time for one more lap out there, depending on how the tyres are doing.
Yeah, they will in terms of the lap time, because it's a relatively short lap, 1 minute 16. We're on board with Tom Ingram, but actually looking around this lap, you can see a lot of smoke coming off the tyres, even through the fast corners, and that generally has been an indication of basically a little bit of tyre wear, and that has been a factor in these cars.
There is Tom Ingram then running in second place at the moment. as we can see Esteban Gutierrez up in the top right as he comes into the chicane once more. Tom Ingram is coming into the final corner. He's 2/10 down after the middle sector. I think the front left is going to take quite a beating around these corners, isn't it, as Ingram comes out and across the line. Does he find any time compared to himself or compared to Gutierrez? No, he remains in second place. Tom Dillman's gone up into sixth position. Here comes Martin Plowman cutting the timing beam. Can he climb up from 23rd? No, he can't. He goes half a second slower than he managed previously. Seb Morris goes up to 21st. Harry Newey goes up to 14th. But it is Esteban Gutierrez that is going to start on pole position for race one. The championship leader starting at the front by the looks of things.
Yeah, few drivers have done better second laps, but Gutierrez, I think, just absolutely maximised it on the first lap when the tyres are good. Job van Uytert goes sixth, which is a good effort. But Gutierrez, championship leader, out front. Nicky Team second in the championship, though, 1 point behind, only fourth place. So there's not much between them.
But that feels like quite a strong qualifying performance from Nicky Team. He's not a sort of front runner when it comes to ultimate lap time. So I think that's put him in pretty good stead. His results this year have been a 5th, a 15th, a 5th and a 3rd. So it's just that level of consistency for Nicky Team that has been really impressive.
The times are spread out, though. Look at the half a second away in fourth. For the last couple of weeks, that would probably put you outside the top 10, but Gutierrez and Tom Ingram absolutely rapid at the front of that session.
So we're going to see our first race on the new Zandvoort circuit anywhere in the world, quite frankly, in a sort of public broadcast like this. In a couple of minutes' time, we will see more than 30 cars piling down into Tarzan Bocht for the first time. And can Esteban Gutierrez hold on to that lead? He wants to take his second win of the season. We've had 4 winners from the first 4 races. Gutierrez, Davidson, Dillman and Job van Uytert, the 4 drivers that have won so far. But can Gutierrez convert another run into a win? How much pressure will he have from behind? This is going to be a fascinating fight. Alex Buncombe, not quite sure where he qualified in that. I didn't really see him on the times too much. I saw his teammate Seb Morris. Here's a look at the grid. Gutierrez on pole, Ingram in second place, Agustin Canapino lining up in third with Nicky Team in fourth. Then it is going to be the next row of the grid in fifth position. We will see, actually, Agustin Canapino 7th in the championship at the moment. He's only scored 1 strong finish, which was second place in round 1 in Portugal, and he's up into 7th in the standings. But it's going to be Gutierrez on pole as we are about to get the race underway. 10 laps around the Zandvoort circuit, the new reprofiled track in R Factor 2 here on the race. Gutierrez on pole, Ingram alongside him, Canapino, Team and Smith, the rest of the top 5 as the race gets underway. It's a decent start from Gutierrez. Comes over to cover the inside line. Agustin Canapino, the Williams driver, looks to the outside at Tarzan. That's a bit of a banked curve as well, and Canapino tries to make the most of that. Go all the way around the outside, Tom Ingram. Then he'll have the inside for this left-hander at 4, but he can't quite pull it together. So it's Gutierrez in front, Ingram second, Canapino third, Team 4, Smith 5th, Van Uytert in 6th place. So they haven't really changed a huge amount.
Everyone very cleanly through those first few corners as well. I thought it was the recipe for a bit of a pile-up, that quick first corner into a narrow section, but Ingram did well to survive Canapino's attack around the outside, and everyone behind, for now, is kept their noses clean, and as you say, we're in a similar order to where they've qualified.
1 of 10. Gutierrez out in front, Ingram second, Canapino third as they come through the left-hander now and down towards the chicane, through the right, through the left, and then towards the final couple of corners. On board with Charlie Eastwood in the top right there as he tries to make a move on Gabby Chavez. We're on board in the main shot, looking back from Tom Ingram's car. There is Ingram in the bottom left, British touring car front runner. Lovely curved screen setup he's got going on, and look at that as the cars flash past the new banking at Arie Luijendijk and down towards turn 1 again. Everybody following each other. DRS won't be activated just yet. Charlie Eastwood thinks about a move on Chavez anyway, and doesn't quite get the job done, does he? Chavez hangs it on around the outside, and that was good defensive work there. Job van Uytert, meanwhile, is trying to pass Nicky Team for 5th position.
And these banked, cambered corners give drivers a chance to hang it around the outside. There's more than one line around the corner than your conventional apex in the middle and an exit. There's less time lost by hanging it wide, and that's what we might see, a little bit like we did there from Chavez around the outside of Charlie Eastwood at turn 1. There are different lines available, and with the next sequence, particularly in the first sector, you can hang it out there and maintain the position. So overtaking potentially not easy, but that was without DRS. When we have DRS soon, then Charlie Eastwood will have a much better run at Gabby Chavez. You've still got him inset top right, and he's still very close to the back of Chavez.
So we have got Esteban Gutierrez out in front, 1.3 seconds up the road from Tom Ingram. We go on board with Job van Uytert in 6th. Closing in into Tarzan. Too far back for a move there, although he thought about it, didn't he, Job? And we're on lap 3 of 10. Gutierrez's lead up to 2 seconds here. He's dominating this one.
He's dialed in, isn't he? Really dialed in. He got the start perfectly. He qualified really well as well. I mean, there was barely anything to separate them, but the start of this race, Gutierrez is head down and gone. Van Uytert here is still close to Nicky Thiem, who's lost a place to Bradley Smith. So somewhere, Nicky Thiem's gone from 4th to 5th. Smith has come through, and Van Uytert was quite close down to turn 1, and that was without DRS. Next time there will be DRS through into turn 1, and it might all bunch up that little bit more and give the likes of Van Uytert, and actually Thiem's not far from Smith still. They might all fancy a bit of an attack down at turn 1.
3 of 10. Board still with Job van Uytert.
He's quick through there, Van Uytert, really quick, and that's probably what set him up really well the last lap for an attack at turn 1. Now through the bank corner, flat out, already picking up a slipstream. Then he'll get DRS this time, and let's see the closing speed into turn 1. I think actually Smith might get DRS as well. Thiem might get DRS as well, though.
Bit of a lock-up into the first corner for Nicky Thiem, running in 5th place at the moment. Lap 4 of 10. Gutierrez 2 seconds ahead of, well, now the gap's come down to 1.5 seconds as soon as I said that. So maybe Ingram getting into the swing of things a little more. And Smith in 4th, Thiem in 5th, Van Uytert, Dillman, Prio, Aitken, Collado. The rest of the top 10 at the moment. Collado coming off a podium in the Formula E race as they come through Skyflack, and that was a little bit wide from Nicky Thiem by the looks of things. Look as though he's really working the tyres, I would suggest, more than the cars around him by the looks of things.
He looks a bit more scrappy, doesn't he? And tyre wear is going to be a big factor. I think all the bumps, the long corners, hugely loaded corners as well in this Zandvoort circuit, they're going to really, really hurt the tyres. And we've seen in the last couple of weeks, this car does tend to chew its way through those tyres pretty quickly. And look again at Van Uytert through that chicane right up to the back of Nicky Thiem. This time he's closer, but he's still got the problem of Thiem having DRS as well. So Thiem's close enough to Bradley Smith, which means that Van Uytert doesn't get the DRS benefit because it's a DRS train. But the tyres, that's going to be interesting later on as we approach half distance.
5 of 10, and Canapino's ahead of Ingram. And now Ingram is back with Canapino, so the battle for second place is right together. Agustin Canapino going for a move, I guess, down at turn 1. Bradley Smith in 4th place under big pressure from Nicky Thiem, who's got Job van Uytert right behind him. And then Tom Dillman lurking as well. Dillman, as far as the championship is concerned, is in 5th position, so he's not a million miles away from Gutierrez up at the top. He is, I mean, to be precise, he's 28 points away, but there's good points on offer for a race win. So Dillman, with a good few solid finishing positions, could bring himself into title contention. Gutierrez's lead back up to 3 seconds now, so I think it must have just been a one-off incident for him that allowed Ingram to close in, although of course Ingram and Canapino have now been battling for the last couple of corners.
Yeah, and this is about to get tasty as well. This battle for 4th, Smith, Thiem, they're all sliding around all over the place, and it's really, well, I can't stress enough how much it's going to take out of these tyres. Now Van Uytert, who's been right under the rear wing of Nicky Thiem, is going to be under a huge amount of pressure from Tom Dillman. Here we go, look at these two flashing through there. And this is going to be a good chance for last week's winner, Dillman, 7th place on the back of Van Uyter. Here we go.
Down into turn 1. Dillman looks to the outside. Can he hold it round the outside at Tarzan? Looks as though he might have done, actually. Very good move from Tom Dillman, although they're still side by side into the next sequence of corners. Still side by side into the left-hander as they chase down Nicky Thiem. And I think Dillman has got the job done just about. Oh no, there's chaos. That's Dillman off. Prio's through. And did Van Uyter lose out as well? Yes, he did. He's dropped down to 9th position.
It's all gone wrong then. They were side by side for a few corners. Dillman was on the attack, and it looked like he would have made the move through on the inside there for turn 4. But it's ended in tears. So Van Uyter's dropped to 9th, Dillman to 12th, and we'll have to wait for a replay to call that one.
6 of 10. Gutierrez out in front in the pro driver class of the race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. Tom Ingram is in 2nd place. Agustin Canapino's in 3rd. Bradley Smith is in 4th. Thiem, Prio, Aitken, Van Uyter, Collado and Eastwood, the rest of the top 10. So once again, Charlie Eastwood's creeping in there with a little bit of a quiet drive for some solid points. We're on board with Tom Dillman now, who's dropped to 12th place behind Gabby Chavez. Is he going to have a look down into Tarzan this time around? Tucks into the slipstream. Dillman racing for Rocket Venturi this week. As they get onto the brakes into the right-hander at turn 1, there's a bit of side-by-side in front. I think that's Eastwood and Collado. Eastwood now ahead of Collado and up into 9th place. And there's chaos there. Almost a collision. And Chavez was almost wiped out in that, I think, but he just managed to avoid it all.
I think Collado was having his own accident, and Chavez basically couldn't avoid it there. And I think he might have picked up a bit of damage potentially. And up to 10th, so Collado's dropped down the order with his slide down to 16th. He did have his own spin, and Chavez with nowhere really to go through that tight section. He's got away with it for now. He's got the place, and he's still got Tom Dillman behind him. But might he have picked up a bit of damage, because that looked like fairly heavy contact.
And it is Esteban Gutierrez leading the way, 3.8 seconds now ahead of Tom Ingram. This has been a masterclass from Esteban Gutierrez. Here is Dillman in 11th place, trying to get back past ahead of Gabby Chavez as they come into the final corner at Arie Luyendyk. Oh, Dillman onto the gravel just a little bit. That'll compromise his run out over the start-finish straight. Nicky Thiem. And what's happened there? A couple of place changes. Can Dillman get past Chavez down into Tarzan? Yes, he can. Nicely done up the inside. And he is through.
Nice and clean that time. He gave Chavez absolutely no chance to hang it around the outside. He was just so deep on the brakes, Dillman. Chavez gives him a little bump up the rear through turn 4, but this time Dillman cleanly through, back into the top 10. Tell you what, he's had a lot of pace in this race. He's been really, really attacking, but just that incident with Van Uyter, who's up in 8th now, that's put him back, because pace-wise, I think Dillman, he's looked racy, quick, but at the moment down in only 10th place.
Lap 8 of 10 in the first pro driver race. We've got a reverse grid race to come later on. We've got the sim drivers next up, and then we will have the Legends Trophy race, which is going to be really entertaining to see in these in classic Brabham cars around Zandvoort, which of course was a Formula 1 venue in the 1970s. Lap 8 of 10. Gutierrez out in front. Ingram second, Canapino third, and Tom Dillman's attack on Gabby Chavez has kind of slowed down a little bit now, hasn't it? No one really, well, Canapino and Ingram, that's going to be the battle, I think, on this penultimate lap for second position. Ingram trying to get back up into, Canapino trying to get up into that second place that Ingram has held since the start. Whoa, I thought that was game over for Canapino, but he just held it.
Squirrely, wasn't it? Very squirrely. He's pushing super hard, and he's still very close to the back of Tom Ingram. So this is the battle for second place. Canapino in championship contention as well. Tom Ingram less so, but having a really storming drive right now. Gutierrez has got this sewn up. Thank you very much. 4 seconds to the good. But it's all about the battle for second. And further back, Tom Dillman, he passed Chavez, of course, didn't he, to be in the top 10. But he's not looking like he's going to make big inroads into Charlie Eastwood for any further progress. So it's all about this battle for second, and whether Canapino, attacking like mad, can pass Tom Ingram with just over a lap to go.
Through the final corner they come. Esteban Gutierrez has got this one absolutely under control. It's been really, really strong, this from Esteban Gutierrez. Through the final corner and across the line. Can Canapino find the room down into turn one? He's in the slipstream. He's going to have the DRS, and Ingram covers the inside. Canapino to the outside. The Williams Esports driver. Oh, Ingram forces him wide and wide and wide and gives him no space. That is robust defensive driving from Tom Ingram. That was some touring car defensive work.
Yeah, you can tell he's a touring car driver, can't you? Absolutely. Just gave... He took the inside. I have to say, covered the inside very late as well. Canapino had to dart around him. And then a bit rude, really, not giving his rival any space on the outside, showing him the grass. So I wonder if the stewards might have a little look at that. But Canapino's still very close behind Ingram, and there's still half a lap to go. There's not an obvious overtaking place, but Ingram's clearly struggling a bit more.
Final lap race, though, for Esteban Gutierrez. What a drive this has been from the Mexican. It's going to be his second win of the season. This is the third event of 5, and Gutierrez is going to really take control of this championship with this win. But what can he do in the reverse grid races? Canapino nudges the back of Tom Ingram coming into the final corner. He's so close, he might even get a run in a slipstream out across the line. Gutierrez comes through the final corner to take the win, but Canapino might get the slipstream draft here across the line. Oh, he's in the wall. Canapino hits the wall right at the final lap. Ingram into second, and Canapino is not impressed with whatever happened there, because he has given Tom Ingram a piece of his mind.
Oh dear, what happened? We didn't really see that. We just saw Canapino spitting off to the inside. He had a run going. He had a little chance of DRS to the line, and then he was in the wall. So we'll have to wait for a replay on that one as well. But very, very robust, to say the least, for Tom Ingram there.
And Gutierrez, no doubt about the winner of the race. That gives him more points for his championship lead. Tom Ingram in second across the line ahead of Canapino. Smith in fourth. Nicki Team with another solid drive to 5th position. That is now his fifth position in 5 races. So very, very consistent from Nicki Team. Charlie Eastwood managed to get him in the 9th place and creep into the top 10. Bradley Smith in 4th. Seb Prio in 6th place, Jack Aitkins 7th, Job van Uitert after a good battle ended up in 8th place ahead of Charlie Eastwood in 9th, and Tom Dillman completing the top 10 after the first race of the afternoon here at the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. When we come back, we've still got the Legends to come and the Sim Masters. More action around the circuit Zandvoort when we come back in a couple of minutes.
Great start again. Gutierrez, dominant, takes a massive chunk of points into the championship. He had a 1-point lead. It's going to be significantly more. Nicki Team was close, benefit of some contact, but what a battle for second place, Jack.
Yeah, it was really intense, wasn't it? I think that's the only word I can think of to describe it at the moment. Some very elbows out defensive work from Tom Ingram. But we can hear now from Esteban Gutierrez, the race winner for the first race of the day here at Zandvoort. Esteban, congratulations, a great win. That looked kind of straightforward, but I guess the more stressful race is to come later on.
Yeah, you are completely right. It's a great challenge when you qualify in front and then win the first race, and the second race is it's a real challenge. So I'm now focused on that second race. It's a good result today on the first race, but obviously, these things is never easy. We spend a lot of hours, and it's great to see that reflected on the result.
Are you aggressive or cautious in the second race? What's sort of your plan? Because the last race didn't go quite according to plan, did it, in Portugal?
No, it wasn't. And one of the most challenging parts is to really avoid crashing into cars that are already crashed, like are stopped in the track. So I think I'm gonna try to bring the car home. That's my main goal. And if we manage to do that, I'm sure we'll be in the top 10.
Okay, good luck. Thank you, Esteban, for joining us.
Thank you.
Very cool overall. Definitely thinking big picture with the reverse grids. But I have to say, he's got the pace and he's got the consistency. And I think consistency is what some of these pro guys have lacked, Julian. At times it seems like they get very quick results, but they're not always there. He is every weekend.
He's looking good. That's his second non-reverse grid race win out of 3 so far. He won in Malaysia. Not quite as quick last time out, but it's all about the reverse grid now for him. And it's about making your way through from 32nd on the grid in a competitive field and not getting caught up in a tangle, not making your own tangle by having a clumsy move. There's still big points at play. So it's still up for grabs. And Nicky Thiem was still there or thereabouts as well.
Yeah, he definitely found his way through somehow to avoid the chaos and the carnage. Battle for second, you guys mentioned it just at the end. We touched on it again. We didn't see what happened, but I do agree. It didn't seem like there was, Canapino was super pleased with whatever did occur. He took a number of tries at it. This week, we did mention this track being so undulating and blind and apexes and fast and old school. It doesn't necessarily offer the same overtaking opportunities, but decent defending, and we'll have to see a replay on that. Nonetheless, we start to look forward as we get closer to the sim. But first, we got to talk to someone who had a great week last week. Seb Montoya was running in second place for most of the day, I think, Jack.
Yeah, it was a really impressive performance. We can talk to Seb now. Seb, how was your first race, and how are you enjoying this the Race All-Star Series so far this year?
It's been an incredible experience from the first races with the Tatos PM18. And then in the LMP3 car, it was just really nice. And then last week, just to show the results and the speed I had. And my dad helping me, he's right here, practicing. It's been really good. And the first race was kind of a struggle. In quality, I did a small mistake with the DRS, and it cost me. But we'll see in race 2.
Great. Well, best of luck for the second race later on. Thanks for talking to us.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So there we go. Seb Montoya, the son of Juan Pablo. You saw Juan Pablo getting his practice in for the Legends race in a couple of moments.
Welcome back again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. Just quickly, we are aware certainly of some of the issues. Look, we're 40 drivers plus tuning in from around the world, all into a connection. I'm in Canada. You guys are in the UK. It's going to happen from time to time. Little lady internet can't handle all the load. I think everyone in the world is relying on the internet right now. Thank God we have it for this situation we're all in. But we'll look into those. We're hoping those will clean themselves up. Nonetheless, we're going to clean our act up and get ready for the Sim Masters, because this is another championship that is very close at the top. Bit more spread out, 10 points. But when you consider the skill, it's in this lineup, Julian, it's definitely there for anyone's taking.
Oh, it's massively up for grabs. And with how close these guys are as well, qualifying is going to be important. We saw last time a couple of the big names, Yayovsky, Siggy, starting from the back, which gave them the front for the second race. With that rule change, that can't happen now, because they can't qualify outside of the first 32. So they can't just sandbag in qualifying and take an easier race in race 2. So it's all about going quickly in qualifying and starting at the front for race 1.
Yeah, I think that's a good change as well, because if everyone that's fast is going for it and you get the pole in the second race and they've got to fight their way through, you're going to get a bigger gap in theory. So definitely changes things. I mentioned Mike Epps, Jack. He's on this entry list with the sim drivers, and he actually had a podium last week.
Yeah, that was a really impressive performance from Mike Epps, I have to say. He is really mixing it with the sim big races and the big names in the sim racing world, because he was a real racing driver. He is a real racing driver, and he's now managed to climb up to 20th in the standings, which in a field this strong is no mean feat. And if he can keep up that kind of performance, I think it's going to be really impressive for the rest of the year. But the Jurnej Simoncic, Bono Huis, Kuba Brzezinski fight is really interesting, and it really ebbs and flows. We haven't seen the dominance that we saw from Erhan Yayovsky last time out in the LMP3 series. So we go into a weekend not knowing whether it's going to be Simoncic or Huis or even Kevin Siggy, who's down in 4th place. He's one of the best out there, and he's just a little bit adrift in the points at the moment. But there's so many points up for grabs through the course of one meeting.
Yeah, and Van Buren's another one that you could certainly, speak about having that massive potential. With Yayovsky, I think we're a little bit misled, because he's had some great results, but he was kind of got involved in contact very early in race 1 of this championship. So he's kind of fighting his way back in, but We'll see if he can get a bigger lead today, or if Bono Huis, it's kind of a home track for him, maybe jumps ahead in the championship. We're on track for qualifying, and we are with Rudy Van Buren.
So here is Rudy, the winner of the World's Fastest Gamer competition, the first iteration of the World's Fastest Gamer. The third iteration is coming up soon, so if you want to get involved in that, download Gear Club app on iOS or Android and get involved. As we see Rudy Van Buren then coming through the sweepers at the top of the circuit, then through this left-hander that takes him down towards the chicane. He's on his outlap at the moment. Jone Simoncic is leading the title fight, 10 points clear of Bono Huis. Kuba Brzezinski's in third. Sigi, Siebel, Michi Hoyer, Kapik, Yajovski, Terzic and Dennis Lin are the rest of the top 10.
This is going to be super tight, this qualifying. All these sim drivers around a pretty short lap, the shortest lap we've had in these Formula Race cars. Just about 1 minute 16 Gutierrez's pole time last time out. Here goes Rudy Van Buren then. And let's see what he can do. Home track for him. In towards turn one. Already a lock up on the front right, bumpy track. That's become pretty usual now for these drivers today. Wriggling through turn two and then into this bottom corner at turn four, which is important to get a good release onto this curved straight, basically, through these flat out corners. And then up to this huge commitment corner, the right-hander down here, carry all the speed. And on one lap in qualifying, you can just take everything out of the tyres. It's the race where you're going to have to hold a little bit back, maybe.
So we have got 3 minutes left on the clock. Here is Rudy Van Buren coming through the left-hander now. When he comes across the line at the end of this lap in qualifying, we will see the rest of the times appear up on the board, because they're all in a private qualifying session. So it's just them on the circuit at the moment as Rudy Van Buren comes towards the final couple of corners now. Swings it into the double right-hander through the banking and out across the line. And where is this going to put him? Cuts the timing beam. Rudy Van Buren will be up towards the front of the order, you would have thought, and might even be the first driver to set a lap time. He is, but it's Yuri Kasdorp that slots into second. 0.6 back is Bono Huis. That's a big lap then from Rudy Van Buren.
It's huge. It's half a second up on what Gutierrez managed, but we would expect these guys to be quicker because they are regulars at sim driving. But even look at that. Kasdorp's through, Wisniewski. These guys are quick, and they're 3/10 behind Van Buren, who's still top. Brendan Lee goes 12th, and with some 8/10 back. Van Buren's lap looks spectacular right now. What can Siggy do? Is he through? I don't think so. So we've got still a few more laps potentially to come, but that margin's huge for Van Buren's lap.
Very, very impressive from Rudy Van Buren, who was so good in the early races of the race all-star battle, but then kind of hasn't quite had the pace subsequently. So far this season, Rudy Van Buren, he's had a 7th place and a 7th and 8th in the regular races. Oh, off goes Yannick Bock in the GPVWC team. He's had a 7th and 8th in the first races in the first two events, but then hasn't really scored big in the second races, 24th and 20th. So if he can take this pole position, that's going to be mightily impressive. Kasdorp is second, Wisniewski is in third, you've got David Marocek in 5th, Romanides in 6th, Huis, Kapit and Simoncic completing the top 10 at the moment. Kevin Siggy down in 31st place, 5 seconds away. Now, there are new rules for qualifying this weekend. Did Siggy do that? Was Siggy at the front of the order last week in Portugal?
Yep, Siggy and Yajovski playing jiggery-pokery again. So Simoncic, championship leader, is only 10th. But some of the big guns are right down. Yajovski, look, 25th, 3.7 seconds. He's not 3.7 seconds slower than Van Buren, but it's games to make sure he's closer to the front for the next race, the reverse grid. And look, there's loads of them that are trying to do the same thing. Mike Epps down in 30th, 5 seconds off the pace. That would put him last by miles on the pro driver grid.
Yeah, but am I not right in thinking now that for this race, we have a 107% rule, where if you're not within 107% of the pole position time, you don't count for the reverse grid race?
It's I thought it was the 32 that reverses, but when there's 32 in the field, it doesn't quite work out.
Yes.
Either way,
I mean. That's why
it's happened. So Van Buren's taken a pretty comfortable pole position.
Yeah, so we will get you some clarity on that rule, because I thought the rule was now that if you're outside of 107% of the qualifying time, the lap time does not, the reverse grid does not count for you. You are too slow. Here's a look at the grid. You're Rudy Van Buren on pole position. Yuri Kastorp in second place. Nikodem Wisniewski is in third position. Alex Siebel completing the top four. Championship leader, a reminder, is Jerne Simoncic. Bono Huis is second in the standings. Yeah, just had confirmation that the 107% rule applies. So I need to work out exactly what 107% of 76 is. That's the key, isn't it? So if I 81 seconds, so I think a 1 minute 17.1 roughly is going to be about right. I'll double check that because that is some bad maths I have. But what can Nikodem Wisniewski do from third on the grid in the Williams eSports car? Alex Siebel is in fourth position. So we get ready for the Sim Masters race. But we will focus now on race one with Rudy Van Buren on pole position. Yuri Kastorp second, Wisniewski third, Siebel fourth. Waiting for the race to get underway. There is Rudy Van Buren in the bottom right. Bottom left, I should say. Here come the lights. Away we go. Good start from Van Buren. Very good start from Wisniewski. He might move up into second place here around the outside of Yuri Kastorp at turn one. They're going to be right together. Kastorp, Wisniewski might have got a little bit of a nudge there, and as a result drops back. So Kastorp in second. Wisniewski still holds on into third place. Marocek is fourth. Huis is fifth. Siebel is in sixth position. Has just dropped down to seventh place now because Dennis Linder's got up into sixth. And it is Rudy Van Buren out in front then. And there you see Nikodem Wisniewski in the bottom left. Dennis Lind trying to fight his way up the order. He's got Alex Siebel right behind him, Romanidis, Simoncic and Lee. The rest of the top 10 halfway around lap one.
Once again, the pole man making a great start. Van Buren now a second clear of Kastorp already, who once again had to fend off the man that started third. Nikodem Wisniewski then couldn't quite make it around the outside, but the two squabbling through those twisty corners 2 and 3 has meant that Van Buren has managed to check out just a little bit. And further back, Simoncic, championship leader, 10th to 9th, so one place made up from him as well.
Huis running in fifth place, the man who's second in the championship. If it finished like this, he would be putting pressure on the championship leader, Jerne Simoncic. But Rudy Van Buren and Yuri Kastorp would be launching themselves into the discussion. At the end of lap one, there is Huis down into the first corner at Tarzan. He is right up behind David Marocek. We've seen, as Jolien mentioned earlier on, that tyre wear is key, maybe even more so in these sim races, sim masters races, because they're kind of more on the limit of what the front tyres are doing.
They're a little bit more on the limit, but they're also a lot more aware to try and save them, I think, than the pro drivers. They're more used to driving simulators and or sim racing anyway, and basically realizing what does scrub the tyre and how can you save it. It's similar to real life. It's fast corners for the front tyres, loading up that outside front, and the rears is predominantly traction zones and a bit on braking. But there's slightly different techniques, and that's why these sim racers are a bit quicker than the pro drivers, but they're also a little bit more in tune with what the cars are doing.
2 of 10. Rudy Van Buren leading the way, up in front of Yuri Kastorp in second place. We're watching Risto Kappin, who's in 11th place. Now we're watching race leader Rudy Van Buren at his home race, out across the line and down into turn one for the Dutchman. He's got a good lead now over Yuri Kastorp in second place. Wisniewski still in third, and we'll see what Simoncic can do, because he's been very strong with his tyres over the course of the races so far, but he's usually been a bit further towards the front.
It's going to be difficult for him to sit back. He is already sitting back, Simoncic. He's more than a second away from, or he's about a second away from Romanidis in front. But the last two races, he's just sat back and then attacked like mad the last sort of 3 laps. But when you're 9th, it's a little bit harder because there's more places that you want to gain, and it's difficult psychologically just to sit back and wait when there's so many cars ahead of you rather than just the one he's had in the last 2 races. So that'll be an interesting dynamic. But that is once again what I think Simoncic is doing, just holding back in 9th place, and he'll be on the attack later on.
Reminder, the race after this is the Legends Trophy, where we'll have Fernando Alonso competing in a mid-1970s F1 car. Great to have Alonso on board. He's going to be up against Dario Franchitti and Jenson Button, and reportedly he was pretty quick on the practice service, Fernando Alonso, as I imagine you would anticipate. Bono Huis out across the line then in 5th position, closing in on the back of David Marocek, who comes to the middle of the road. Is Huis going to be close enough to make a move? Marocek thinks he's close enough to need to cover the inside, and this is the closest battle in the top 10 at the moment. Dennis Lind is going to come and try and join the fight if Huis can't get the move done quickly.
Lind's doing a great job in 6th place. Keeping these guys very, very honest. Wisniewski's still very close to the back of Kasdorp as well. This is the battle for 2nd to 3rd. Not quite as close as the two behind. Marocek holding back Bono Huis right now. Huis, our man that's in championship contention, 2nd at the moment. And I tell you what, Van Buren, 2.5, nearly 3 seconds clear of Yuri Kasdorp. Wow, how he could do with a win right now. He's not even in the top 10 in the championship. He's been very quick, but he's struggled the last couple of weeks, so this would be a huge result for him.
Comes Alex Siebel in 7th place, behind Dennis Lind, Romanidis, Simoncic and Lee, the rest of the top 10. Into the chicane on lap 4 of 10 at the moment. And coming into the final corner, Bono Huis still right up behind David Marocek. Through the right-hander and out onto the start-finish straight once more. Marocek, the pole, missed the last race in Portugal, despite finishing 3rd at the first race in Malaysia. Huis to the outside. Can't quite pull it off. That outside manoeuvre at Tarzan Jolien always seems inviting, and it looks as though people have almost pulled it off, but then the next corner's a right-hander.
That's the problem, and Huis actually was just a little bit behind even for the next right. If you could hold a nose in, you'd have a chance going into turn 4, the left-hander. But Tom Dillman tried that move in race 1 and it ended in tears at turn 4. But Huis, that looks like the best option because Marocek's just defending quite well, basically, the inside of turn 1. It's all about carrying so much speed in without skittling off into the gravel on the outside, but carrying the speed in that you're there and you don't allow your rival on the inside a chance to squeeze you wide on the exit.
As Dennis Lind running in 6th position behind Huis and just in front of Alex Siebel, who hasn't really made too much progress and isn't putting too much pressure on the back of Lind. Here's Rudy van Buren, though, who is pretty dominating up at the front, isn't he? 4 seconds pretty much now ahead of Yuri Kasdorp, as we aren't even quite at the halfway stage of the race. So this is the kind of Rudy van Buren performance that we were so used to seeing and maybe so expecting to seeing in the first 2 rounds. Now he's got it hooked up and he's driving away from Yuri Kasdorp in 2nd place. Simoncic still there in 9th position as Van Buren comes up towards Skyflak, and this fantastic right-hander at the far point of the circuit. And look at this is going to get very busy soon. It's amazing how close Huis is, considering the dirty air and all of that kind of stuff. It's amazing how close these three have been for so long, and you just wonder whether it's taking a lot out of Huis's tyres running in the dirty air for so long.
Lind getting closer, and he's just been watching for a few laps, but look how close Huis is. This is the section now. He needs to stay glued to the back of Marocek, and he'll get DRS and a nice slipstream down into turn 1. He's very close through here. So now we can get on the throttle early out of that left-hander. Now just stay as close as you can the exit of this next right. Then it's all about picking up the DRS, the slipstream, and attacking into turn 1.
Here he comes then through the final corner at Arie Luijendijk and down over the start-finish straight. Anything, Lind looks closer to Huis than Huis looks to Marocek, but Marocek won't have the DRS. Still covers the inside and defends, and Huis almost sees the opportunity. They're all starting to queue up now behind David Marocek. That was nearly the opportunity, but couldn't quite get it done. Nikodem Wisniewski now is going to get buzzed Yuri Kasdorp. Wisniewski up into 2nd place. Looks as though Kasdorp made a mistake coming out of the left-hander at the Masters box and out onto the flowing sequence. Left, right, up through Skyflak, and Wisniewski's in 2nd.
Wisniewski then, that was nice and easy. Kasdorp just losing it on the exit of turn 4 and dropping away. Van Buren now with 4.1 seconds to Wisniewski. I think no matter how much tyre saving Wisniewski or Kasdorp have done, I think that's surely too much to bridge to Rudy van Buren. But yeah, tyre wear now at this time starting to become more relevant, and maybe that was the cause of Kasdorp having a moment. And look, Bono Huis, 6th place. He's behind Dennis Lind now in all of that. He was super cautious with Marocek in turn 1, nearly losing it all on his own. Held back, and somewhere around this lap, Lind has come through.
Enjoying the extra money we've pumped in for this week and the chopper we've bought. Really enjoying these shots from above at the Zandvoort circuit as Huis comes over the start-finish straight, now behind this man, Dennis Lind. And Lind is going to look to the outside. Once again, Marocek covers the inside line. He can't hold on to the end of the race. Surely we're on lap 8 of 10. Look at all the cars now queuing up behind him.
He's also defending thin air sometimes. He's going to the inside when he doesn't have to. Lind, look at that wet line through turn 4. That was quick. Right around turn 4, around the outside. Didn't bother with the apex, using the camber of the corner. And look at this attack from Dennis Lind around the outside. Surely not there. And I don't think it will work, but he's super quick.
Double right now before they head down towards the chicane, but Lind, if anything, is coming under more pressure now from Bono Huis after almost going side by side through Sky Black. Another lockup in front from David Marocek, who is really working hard to hold on to this 4th position. Can Lind make the move this next time around down into Tarzan, onto the brakes, through the right, through the left, and then it's just the sweepers at Arie Luyendyk to come before they start the penultimate lap of the race. And look at this queue. The gap to Yuri Kasdorp has grown massively. He's now 4 seconds, David Marocek, from Yuri Kasdorp in 3rd, and then it's probably 4 seconds all the way back to 15th place. Down the start-finish straight. Marocek covers the inside line. Lind is there again. But again, he's still not close enough, but Marocek sends it in deep. That's got to be the chance for Lind. They're still side by side. Marocek, if he can hang around the outside of the right, will have the inside for the left. He's still in 4th place.
Look at this line, though, from Lind right around the outside. Again, he gets great drive, and he's squeezed onto the grass. That's a shunt. Oh, no, Dennis Lind. I don't think Marocek ever expected him to be there around the outside. It's such a quick line, and Lind there coming unstuck, squeezed onto the grass, onto the curb, no grip and round. What a shame.
An ultimate lap of the race. Still, David Marocek is there in 4th position. Dennis Lind drops outside of the top 10 now. Bono Huis in 5th position will be the next driver to try and attack David Marocek over 4th spot. He's still got Alex Siebel right behind him, but all those drivers behind haven't really been able to make too much progress. Bono Huis has got, what, one more opportunity? I guess he's spent a couple of laps now following Dennis Lind, so maybe can try and take a bit more advantage of that. Through Arie Luyendyk for the penultimate time. Rudy van Buren still leading. He, Wisniewski and Kasdorp look like they've got this under control. There is van Buren into the Tarzan corner for the final time. But what can Bono Huis do on David Marocek as they come down the start-finish straight? Just 0.4 of a second between them as they come into the first corner. As van Buren heads out now, and Huis hasn't done it. He's still in there behind Marocek.
He's still using that same line. Dennis Lind really was quick around the outside of turn 4. Huis probably lost out because of it. When he got passed by Lind, it was around that time. But Huis then sticking to his guns and using the conventional racing line, but not able to make the inroads on Marocek. So barely an overtaking chance left, unless he can have a run to the line in a Canapino-style way. But it looks like it might be too little too late. Good defense from Marocek, robust. Covering the inside at all costs, but it looks like it's going to work out.
But here, Van Buren, what a drive this has been. He's going to win his home race here and really launch himself up the championship order. A best result so far of 7th this season for Rudy van Buren, but now out across the line comes the red line driver to take a dominant win at Zandvoort in the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. Nikodem Wisniewski in 2nd place, 3rd for Yuri Kasdorp, and defensive driver of the day goes to David Marocek, who somehow holds on to 4th position. You have to say, pretty fairly in the end as well. I thought that was a good drive from Marocek, maybe unnecessarily defending at some point simply because there was no one actually attacking him. But it all seemed pretty fair. The fight with Dennis Lind will be maybe a talking point for Dennis Lind. The stewards now do look at incidents post-race, and we'll keep you updated whether anything happens going into next week. But Rudy van Buren, Nikodem Wisniewski and Yuri Kasdorp, the top three in a couple of minutes' time. It's time for Fernando Alonso in a 1970s Formula One car around Zandvoort. You won't want to miss that.
I think the defensive driving was remarkable, and perhaps Simon Fitchett and Formula Medicine need to get a heart rate on a few of those guys, because there was some cool and composed drives and some wild moments. Poor Dennis Lind biffed off, but Bono Huis, I think, was thinking championship, because he didn't seem too concerned about Lind getting by, and he knew that Simoncic was a few points back. Not only that, Rudy van Buren gets his home race win. Rudy's had a little bit of experience, I think, on this track. He already did one demonstration on Sim. I think it was R Factor 2. I don't think it was in this car, but he certainly knows his way around Zandvoort.
A Dutchman as well, so there's always something special, I imagine, Jolien, about racing at your home race. But I think that's a good point about Bono Huis, thinking about championship and not doing anything silly, especially with Marocek in front, looking sort of strong, but maybe a little bit out of control at times. Let's chat to our race winner, Rudy van Buren, who takes the victory and moves himself up more towards the top of the championship. Rudy, that was a bit more like it. What's made the difference for this third round of the series?
I don't know. Third lucky charm. It's the first week that finally I've fixed some technical issues, which were related to the PC. So preparation was as it should be. Home track, car setup that suited me definitely better than last week. This was a lot more pointy on the nose, and the result pays off. So really happy to finally be back up front.
Hey, your home track. Have you been to Zandvoort a lot in real life?
Yep. New track, old track, driven there. So definitely what you call a home track.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations. Best of luck in the reverse grid race, though. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. But this case, I'm starting from the back of the grid, completely last. So I'm not in the pack. I can hopefully drive around most of the stuff in the first lap and then see if we can tick some off.
Cool. Thanks for joining us. See you later.
Thank you.
Third time lucky. Perhaps that's true. I noticed as well, he uses a full dish wheel even in the Formula car. Some people like to be a little more immersive and go to sort of the Formula style wheel, but it worked for Rudy. Let's see what works for Kevin Hanson, because he's going to show us around his sim in Sweden.
Hey guys, Kevin Hanson here, directly from Hanson HQ in Sweden, where we run our World Championship team in Rallycross. But let's have a look at the proper amazing stuff here in the sim room. Two identical Sparker gaming seats from our Italian friends, some beautiful caps on the wall from Red Bull, and an amazing banner. But I need to show you guys my sim. This one I spend so many hours in at the moment. It's really great. Have a proper seat here to get a good feeling, sitting comfortably. Trustmaster steering wheel and pedals. I think it's good feeling in that. A massive screen, 49-inch. I think it works great. And a proper gaming computer. And have a look at my setup for the webcam. Have to improvise a bit. Spending so many hours here right now and spending my time in it also tonight on the race All-Star. Really excited. I've done a lot of practice. I hope I can have a good run towards the racing, guys, being the only rallycross driver. So please cheer on, guys. I need all the support I have, and I will spend more hours here now. So take care and stay home, stay safe.
Very cool setup. Obviously, at the headquarters, maybe we call him the Bob Ross of sim racing with that little easel he's got set up for his webcam and tablet, Jack.
I'm afraid I haven't quite followed that reference. It's like Merlin. It's like Merlin's birthday. I've got not a clue what you're talking about. And unfortunately, you're not going to get a chance to reply now. Unlucky. You'll have to tell us some other time.
Welcome back to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones, and it's time to introduce the guest of honor for this week. Fernando Alonso is getting ready to jump in with the Sim Legends, the Legends Trophy coming up right now. Tons of great names. I saw some stats earlier. I don't have them in front of me, but we already mentioned 12 IndyCar 500, Indy 500 wins, something like 49 Formula One wins. There's a bunch of championships in there. I'll try to dig those out again for you. But the point is, this grid is stacked, and I don't think you could find any more success among anyone in the world.
No, it's incredible, isn't it? 5 Formula One World Championships, 1,331 starts, 69 wins, 49 poles, 12 Indy 500 wins, 9 IndyCar titles, 20 Le Mans wins, 3 World Touring Car titles, 2 World Rallycross Championships. The list goes on and on. Well, it doesn't really. That was pretty much all of it. But yeah, the field in this is just amazing. Fernando Alonso out there, Button out there, Fernandez out there, Franchitti out there, Montoya out there. I can't wait for this.
Should be a ton of fun. Obviously, we mentioned rivalries. Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, teammates in the past. There's other teammates and rivals that are all across the grid. We know that Button and Pirro are tied in the championship. It's time to find out if Fernando can get involved with them or not. We'll jump on board right away.
Fernando up through Skyflack at the far end of the Zandvoort circuit on his outlap now. Great to have him here racing this Brabham BT44B from the mid-1970s. And we're on board with Alonso in his... in his classic colours, Jolyon.
Indeed, and I tell you what, first corner through Skyflack, and he looked like he was fairly on it already, just slightly sliding at the rear as these Brabhams tend to be driven quickly, and it's looking good. So we had Sebastian Vettel in a couple of weeks ago, and let's see if Fernando Alonso has done any more practice or found any more pace. Here we go, one more corner, and then launch into his first flying lap of this qualifying session.
He comes then through the new banked right-hander at Arie Luyendyk and out over the start-finish straight. Down towards turn 1 comes Fernando Alonso in the Legends Trophy. His rig, I think, arrived yesterday, and so he was quick on the servers, and he dives straight into Tarzan, hooks up the apex. It's an all-in sport rig that has been sent, and now he's into the right and then the left at the back part of the circuit, sliding it a bit.
He is, but he's looking quite neat and tidy at the same time. This is not an all sliding, all guns blazing Petter Solberg lap we're watching here. This is a more precise, calculated lap, I think, from Alonso, perhaps unsurprisingly. But turn 1, super smooth, and even there through that corner, the quick right, still very smooth. Far fewer corrections on the steering wheel than we're seeing from some of the others.
Comes Alonso then. Great to ride on board with him. Great sound as well. Whoa! Thought he was gone. Down to the chicane. Another huge opposite lock moment for Fernando Alonso. Good first sector though. We'll see where it puts him as far as the lap times are concerned. They'll all pop up on that left-hand tower. As Alonso now out of the final corner, the 2 times Formula One World Champion, the Le Mans 24-hour winner, out and across the line. Magnussen has out-qualified Button for the time being. Montoya goes into 3rd place, and Alonso goes 4th, behind Montoya, ahead of Servia, Fernandez, Montero. So not too far away, Alonso, from the big hitters right at the start.
Not too bad at all, and they'll all get a second lap chance again, and I think these tyres generally seem to hang on better than on the Formula Race modern single-seaters. So we'll see pretty much all of these guys are going to have another chance. So at the moment, Magnussen on pole from Button. That's big in terms of championship fighting. Where's Pirro? He's somewhere 11th to 15th, I'd say, or he's not put in a lap yet, but that's also big. Oh, he's 24th and last for now. But yeah, so Fernando Alonso, 5th right now. Great job for his first lap. Super smooth. Until he nearly lost it.
Yeah, apart from when he wasn't, he was super smooth. So remember, Button and Pirro are tied on points at the top of the championship standings. So that is very, very close as far as the points are concerned. So Pirro needs to find a little bit more pace. Here comes Jan Magnussen now to the final corner. Don't think he's improving on this particular lap, is Jan? I wonder if I feel like he might have moved his setup. It used to be at the bottom of the stairs, didn't it, in the kitchen? But I wonder if it's somewhere else now. Here he comes across the line, still on provisional pole position. Can anyone improve on the final lap?
Magnussen did just improve, but only by a smidgen. to take it to just over a tenth away from Button, and I don't know if anyone else is going to have a lot of time to improve. 15 seconds to go. Alonso's gone third, so Alonso's found a bit of time, and Mika Salo's going to probably be the last man who gets it over the line from 10th position. Can he get any higher? He goes third. Great lap from Salo.
Up into third place, then out qualifying Fernando Alonso. David Brabham slots into 5th spot, but it's Jan Magnussen that is going to be on pole position for the first Legends race of the day. The second one is going to be a reverse grid race, but Magnussen on pole, Button second, Salo third, Fernando Alonso fourth. That is not a bad effort for his first run here, and we need to keep an eye out on Emanuele Pirro, what he can do. But it's one thing qualifying. We've seen a bit of carnage in the Legends races, I think it's fair to say.
We have, and Alonso then starting fourth. He's kind of with the big boys straight away. Jenson, Button, Mika Salo did a great job to be third at the death there. But then you've got Button, Magnussen, Frankitti's up there. These are the sort of regulars. Pirro then has got work to do from the back. Let's see what he can do and recover. Championship leader. He'll obviously start the next one from the front.
Yeah. Thinking, is that a bit fishy?
Yep. Reeks of a bit of fish, but that's how it goes. That's how he's watched the sim race from last week, the regular sim drivers, and he's thought, I'll have a bit of that. We'll try and charge from the back in race one.
Well, not unusual scent next to the North Sea on the Zandvoort coast, but we'll see what Emanuele Pirro can do in this race, maybe trying to carve through the order. But it is going to be Jan Magnussen starting on pole position. Jenson Button alongside him on the front row of the grid. A hugely impressive field of cars for this Legends Trophy. 1970s machinery around Zandvoort is a really that's a legendary combination as well, isn't it? That for me is when I think of Zandvoort in the sort of 1970s on the even longer circuit that used to go further out into the dunes. So great to have these drivers racing these cars. In fact, Emerson Fittipaldi must have raced Zandvoort in the 1970s. So we are about to get going on this race. They'll have a reverse grid a little bit later on, the Legends, and we'll see what this race is going to hold, because so far this year, the Legends trophies have been maybe the highlight of the Race All-Star Series. Can Jan Magnussen... It's interesting that Magnussen has out-qualified Button, because it's been a little bit of time since that has happened. Are those two going to have a great race the way we've seen them go head-to-head at Lime Rock in the past? Button and Pirro tied on points at the top of the championship, but I think our championship won't become clear until we've had the reverse grid race later on today. Cars are lining up on the grid. We're about to get going for the Legends Trophy. Fernando Alonso making his debut. Magnussen leads into turn one. Button in second, Salo third, Alonso fourth, but Alonso spins to the inside, coming through Tarzan, and drops all the way back to about 7th or 8th place. He's behind Tonio Liuzzi, and that's not a great start. Magnussen leads, Salo's got ahead of Button, Montoya is up into 4th place with Serbia 5th.
Alonso a bit jumpy on the throttle then, exited turn one. There's another car that's gone. It's Darren Turner, exited turn 4 into the wall. These cars are difficult on traction. Oh, massive incident on the back. Alonso's off again, and it's carnage.
So it is Mika Salo still in 2nd place behind Jan Magnussen here as they come through the right-hander and out onto this. Who's big pressure there for Jenson Button from Juan Pablo Montoya as well as they come around. But Jan Magnussen is starting to pull away here pretty well up at the front, with Button trying to chase down Mika Salo for 2nd place.
Yeah, Button and the loser, well, one of the losers from the start. Alonso's down in 8th after smacking the wall for a 2nd time. But Button lost out to Mika Salo, turn 1. And Salo's good form continuing, really. He was stronger last week, and this week he's turned into a genuine front runner, running 2nd behind Jan Magnussen, who's got a 2.5 lead after just 1 lap. And actually, Button's under huge pressure from Montoya. Montoya's gone off, though. Montoya's gone off at turn 1. So that relieves Jenson Button, and Montoya there rejoining ahead of the man we're on board with, Tonio Liuzzi, who's up in 5th.
Jan Magnussen leading the way. Oh! And there's Alonso and Petter Solberg coming right together. And I think Alonso might have hit Solberg, and Solberg drops down to 7th place. That allows Dario Franchitti to try and get alongside him, but he's not quite able to do so as Alonso sprints clear up into Skyflack, the right-hander, and then down towards the double right afterwards. And Alonso then climbs back up into 6th place. He's 1.5 seconds back from Antonio Liuzzi, so it'll be fascinating to see the fight now and see the pace that Alonso has in clear air.
Yeah, I think he just probably tapped the back of Solberg there, which sent Petter Solberg into a half spin, and Alonso then scooping it up on the exit to make the place. And now Franchitti passes Solberg as well, who's dropping back a little bit. He might hold that one actually into the chicane, and then more contact. Solberg squeezing Franchitti, and now he's off for good.
So Franchitti in 7th place, then Fernandez promoted to 8th, 9th for Prio, 10th for Thiago Montero. And we'll see what Franchitti can do. He's got a couple of seconds to Fernando Alonso in front. Jan Magnussen leads the way, 1.6 seconds ahead of Mika Salo in 2nd place. Jenson Button in 3rd, Montoya 4th, Liuzzi 5th. And Alonso's closing in on Liuzzi. Oh, who's this? Someone off. I think it's Olivier Panis. Up off the circuit. He's a little bit further down the field. Great to have Olivier Panis on board as well, I have to say. Obviously a lot of focus on Fernando Alonso, but Olivier Panis joining the party too, as we go on board with David Brabham fighting with Tony Kanaan for 15th place. There you see Brabham in the bottom left, and he's wearing a Grand Prix Zandvoort t-shirt. That is a class little touch from David Brabham. Oh, that's not though, as he rams Tony Kanaan.
Yeah,
and
that was a non-class touch, and Alonso's off very far into the gravel as well then, so that's more places lost for Fernando, who's been in the wars. And now Thiago Montero sneaks through on the inside. Alonso gives him a little touch and comes back through.
And then Montero tries to get back through. Alonso nearly round again, managed to save it. Montero is round again, and now Alonso has got 4 seconds to Adrian Fernandez. So great to see Alonso getting in the fight. Awesome to have him here in the championship. And I guess we should say hello to Andrew Benson, who will now ultimately be watching, I'd have thought. And there is Jason Plato, who didn't manage to qualify, and as a result he's managed to climb up into 14th place. So he's got the NHS rainbow stripes on the side of the car, but didn't manage to take part in qualifying, Plato, so he's having to do it the hard way, climbing up the order.
And we should be looking out also for Emanuele Pirro, see where he's charging up to from the back as well. He's not in the top 10 yet, in spite of all the chaos, but yeah, we'll keep tabs on that. Jan Magnussen doing a great job, 3 seconds out front, and Jenson Button now maybe starting to come back to Mika Salo, 2nd and 3rd.
Comes Magnussen up towards Skyflack.
Pirro's 18th.
Yeah, hasn't made a huge amount of progress, has he? He's right with Tony Kanaan, but that's a bit of a surprise, really, that Pirro has not made more progress. He's now ahead of Tony Kanaan, but if that was a sort of tactical move from Pirro to start at the back and therefore the front for the next race, you would have thought that he would be carving through the order a little more than he is at the moment, Emanuele Pirro, as he comes over the crest through into the sweepers now. Magnussen's lead, 3 seconds up at the front. Button is just half a second back from Mika Salo in 2nd place. On board with Alonso in the top right.
With a nice clear track in front of him, but sadly for him, there are still 7 cars ahead somewhere in the distance. So he's been in the wars and he's still got 3 seconds to Adrian Fernandez ahead. His pace is quite good when he's going, Fernando, but he's just been in the wars a little bit too much this race.
Castroneves on the back of Andy Prio is the shot we're watching for 10th position. Alonso, as we say, 3 seconds back from Fernandez, gets it down to under 3 seconds back now. We go on board again with Helio Castroneves. A reminder that we'll be racing the Indy Oval next week in contemporary race cars for the Legends Trophy. And here comes Castroneves. He's got a slipstream. He looks to the inside of Andy Prio. Two are going to go wheel to wheel down into the first corner. Oh, bit of a wheel on the grass there from Prio. Lives to fight another day, but Castroneves with a nice move is up into 10th place.
I wonder if we were a bit hard on Pirro. Maybe it wasn't nearly as fishy as we thought. He's making no progress, down in 17th place. So maybe he's just missed out on a bit of practice this week and doesn't actually have that good a pace, because as you said, you would have thought he'd be charging through, but we're keeping an eye on him, and he's kind of going nowhere, really. Still 17th. And that's with a few others, Petter Solberg and co., who have come unstuck early on.
5 of Jan Magnussen leading the way, more than 3 seconds now ahead of Mika Salo. The gap between Salo and Button is remaining pretty consistent at some 0.4 of a second. Castroneves and Prio still fighting. David Brabham were on board within the top right as he tries to climb up the order. Through the right-hander and on the power. He's trying to chase Tom Coronel in 15th place. Up on the curb and then on the power, a little bit of oversteer, or a little bit of a correction, I should say, on the exit, and then down towards the chicane again. Still half a second between Salo and Button in second and third, and we're on board with Button in the top right now. This is where it's going to get busy on lap 6 of 11.
Here we go then, just one corner away from the start finish. Oh, or are they on the... No, sorry, that's exiting turn 4, isn't it? So starting lap 6, and look how close he is. Up the top of the hill now. It's very difficult to pass, though, through these corners. Super quick, though. Jensen just within half a second of Mika Salo. I'm really impressed by Salo, though. He's found a lot of time, and he's improving week on week, and this is by far his best showing yet, and he's remaining consistent under a lot of pressure.
Through the left-hander. Button trying to close in and pass Mika Salo. Great fight this. A reminder, Button is at the top of the championship, level on points with Emanuele Pirro. So if it finishes like this, Button will move to the lead of the championship. He wants to get ahead of Mika Salo, though, and extend that lead even further. Salo had a 6th place finish at the second race in Portugal last week. Didn't start the first race and didn't finish inside the top 10 in the first meeting in Malaysia, but now he's really on form. But Button's got a great run here down the start-finish straight. Does Salo fight it? He covers. No, he doesn't. Button finds the inside late on the brakes, and Jensen Button is up into 2nd place, the championship leader now. Salo's trying to fight back, not quite able to do anything about it, but still a good drive from the former Tyrrell and Ferrari driver Mika Salo, and Sauber as well, I think. Maybe another one in there as well.
Still a good drive, not a lot of defence from Salo, and Jensen Button's taken a long time to size him up and then pass him. And actually, I think Mika maybe could have covered that one on the inside a little bit earlier, but maybe he just thought that Button would be too quick, or maybe he thinks he's going to have a go back here. Look how close he is into this right-hander. Oh, right on the sausage curve on the inside. Don't want to be taking that, and that's cost him a car length or two. Still close.
Fernando Alonso up in the top right is about to make a move on Adrian Fernandez, and then he's not too far back for the... You know what I'm saying, from Dario Franchitti. Here comes Alonso. Meanwhile, Juan Pablo Montoya is joining the Mika Salo Jensen Button fight a little bit. There you can see Salo down to the bottom left. He looks very stressed, doesn't he?
He looks like he's constantly panicking, Mika Salo. His pace is good. Here's Alonso trying to pass Fernandez, and he's in the wall again, Fernando Alonso. So I think every time he's tried to make an overtake, it's basically ended up with him in the wall, and it's happened again.
Do none of these drivers know? Oh, that's a bad rejoin, colliding with Castroneves. Why don't none of these drivers know that the way to overtake Alonso, or to come off best on a fight with Alonso, is just to cut the corner? That's the way to do it.
Yeah. No one's called me for tips yet, weirdly. But yeah, next time Adrian Fernandez wants a tip, then I'll tell him just cut the chicken. Easy.
Cut the chicken. Lap 8 of 11. Lap 8 of 11. And Magnussen is out in front. Is that a chicane joke, or is that it's a yoke joke as well? Is it 2 in 1?
I think it's a double whammy.
Wow, that's a good effort. Here comes Montoya trying to pass Mika Salo now. You can see Seb Montoya leaning on the back of the rig that Juan Pablo has. And the two absolutely nose to tail. Montoya finds the inside line. That's going to be a brave one there. Salo turns in, sees Montoya at the last minute, but a nice move from Juan Pablo, and he's up into 3rd place now.
Better pace now from Montoya. Salo's still right with him, and Montoya might have to defend here, and he does. Just covers the inside off, so Mika Salo cannot come through on the inside there. And now he's got to try and scamper away because there's a nice long straight for Salo if he can stay close enough. Montoya bottom left, being watched by his son Seb. And yeah, he's going to come under pressure here because Salo's still right with him as they come through the banking. Really squirrely from Salo, and he's got away with it. They're coming past a back marker, and now Salo really close.
Montoya she's over to the inside line at Tarzan. Salo tries to get the drive out. We're on board with him here. He's got a very nice run out of Tarzan. Left-hander at 2, right-hander of 3. And where is he going to try and find the move? Mika Salo. This is a great race. SMP Racing on the side, who Salo has continued to race with until quite recently, doing things like the Spa 24 Hours in a Ferrari 458. This is Thiago Monteiro and Andy Prio fighting over 10th position, the final spot in the top 10. Castro Neves is up in 9th place. There you can see Thiago Monteiro in the bottom left. Salo, meanwhile, has dropped back a little from Montoya, so it looks as though Juan Pablo's got this under control. But really under control is Jan Magnussen. This is dominant.
Absolutely. 5 seconds to Jenson Button. That fight between Montoya and Salo cost him 3 seconds pretty much to Button, though. That was close. And now the two of them scrapping has just allowed Button to escape into an easy second place as well.
Juan Pablo Montoya running in 3rd place. Mika Salo 4th as we come around the final corners to start the final lap of the race. Here's Jan Magnussen, new livery, new sponsor on the side of the car as well, and a new sponsor background in his sim rig as well. So great to see the sponsors coming on board. And Magnussen not throwing a bone to the rest of the field on this one. If that kind of works as a sort of pun. Not really, but he's now 6.3 seconds ahead of Button. He's almost a second a lap quicker than Button on that last lap. This is a dominant drive from Jan Magnussen. Montoya 3rd, Salo 4th, Liuzzi a quiet race to 5th at the moment. We've got Jourdain doing battle in the top right. Franchitti 6th, Fernandez 7th, Castro Neves has just got past Papis and up into 8th place. Thiago Monteiro completing the top 10, and this is Prio under pressure from Jourdain coming into turn 1. Jourdain now up into 11th place, so Prio going a little bit backwards.
Nice scrapping between the two of them, though. And this time Jourdain makes it through cleanly and up into 11th place. Pirro was 15th and not far behind another couple of cars as well. So Pirro's got a chance to make it 12th or 13th, but it just can't be enough for the championship leader joint with Jenson Button when Button is up in 2nd place. Magnussen as well, not absolutely out of the championship picture, or potentially Montoya. But Castro Neves, they're past Papis nice and easy on the inside. Looked like Papis was getting out of the way like a back marker, but Castro Neves slid through. But yeah, championship-wise, this is really bad news for Pirro.
So far, in the 4 races, Pirro's been 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 2nd. Button's been 2nd, 7th, 1st, 3rd. So suddenly, to be outside of the top 10 is there's a bit of a moment for Papis, but the outside of the top 10 is a huge lack of result for Pirro. Here is Andy Prio now fighting with Tom Coronel. So I don't know what's going on with Prio, whether he's picked up some damage or something, because he seems to be, he was battling for sort of 10th place with Jourdain and the like earlier on, but now he's all the way back in 16th place.
Struggling, but still going, but fairly fruitlessly for Andy Prio right now. It looks like he's a bit resigned as well in the inset there, bottom left. Brabham's still fighting with Jason Plato. David Brabham trying to attack. He was further up earlier on, but then had contact. Can't remember who with. Dropped back, and now in his Zandvoort t-shirt, trying to have a run at Jason Plato on the final lap for 13th place. And ahead is Emanuele Pirro, just ahead of these two.
Okay, so Pirro then up into 12th spot as they come through Skyflack for the final time. Jan Magnussen out in front, 5 seconds up the road from Jenson Button. What a commanding performance this has been from Magnussen. He's going to close the gap a bit to Button. Oh, there goes Brabham up the inside of Plato. So David Brabham up into 13th place now, and there's Jan Magnussen celebrating with a massive shunt across the line. Not quite sure that's how he meant to celebrate. Reminds me of Justin Wilson in Sao Paulo back in the early 2000s. But Button finishes in 2nd place, and it is Montoya finishing in 3rd position, ahead of Salo 4th, Liuzzi 5th. Still got fights to go on for the final positions, though. Coming into the final corner. Oh, that's a brave one. It's going to end in a mess. Oh, and through comes Pirro to take 2 places. So Pirro gets 10th at the final corner.
Some salvage there. That never would have happened, but Jourdain making a bit of a mess of a move on the final corner. And then Papis just ramming him over the line. They're not very happy with that one. But yeah, Pirro at least then taking 10th and something out of that race. He'll start at the front for the next one. He's got a good chance to try and win it.
Yeah, but has he got the pace to try and win it? I think that's going to be the question, isn't it? Because he wasn't carving through the order quite as much as maybe we would have expected. So Jan Magnussen wins the first race in the Legends Trophy. Jenson Button finishing in 2nd place. Juan Pablo Montoya 3rd. Mika Salo with a great drive was running 2nd at one stage, slipped back to 4th, but still his best result in the Legends Trophy. We've got the reverse grids race coming up in a couple of minutes' time, starting off with the pro drivers.
Always a lot to talk about with the Legends. That goes without saying. Obviously, Alonso had great pace in qualifying. I have to say, a 4th place is pretty impressive considering the progress we've seen from everyone else. And he's only had the sim for a day, but pretty on edge for that lap. And I think that showed once we get into the race. Maybe needs a little more time to work on the consistency. But someone who absolutely nailed the consistency today, Jan Magnussen, that was, you said it, Jack, that was domination.
Yeah, really, really impressive performance from Jan Magnussen. We can join him now and speak to him because in the past, Jan, you and Jenson, it's kind of been Jenson having the edge in terms of pace a little bit, but that, you know, new livery today, new sponsor seems to have changed the form around a little bit.
Absolutely. No, it's my new sponsor, Bones, is a restaurant, and they also provided beers. And the deal was that if I don't finish in top 3, I have to drink the non-alcoholic. So...
Okay. Were you pleased with your performance today? Because I mean, you dominated that one.
Yeah. No, I had a good qualifying. I thought that, you know, I wasn't sure that I could put it on pole, but I knew I could put it in top 3 probably. But I had a good start, and there was a little bit of stuff going on behind me at the start, which gave me a gap, so I could just do my own thing. So very pleased with that.
Great. Congratulations. Good luck for the reverse grid.
Thank you.
Just to point out, he does sim race in his kitchen, as we saw last week. So pretty cool. Maybe now that he's got a food sponsor, that kitchen's coming together. I might have to go over for a visit sometime if I'm ever over that way. You mentioned it as well, overshadowed a little bit by obviously Alonso, but Olivier Panis, someone who Jacques Villeneuve in 1997 considered a threat for the title, also joined us this week. He looked pretty good out there. Great to have him on board. But again, we do have to look at Fernando because it wasn't the tidiest of races. I love that you guys joked about the whole chicken thing, but Julian, I don't know. What did you make of it?
He was in the wars, but fair play. You know, it's his first time, and Jenson Button was worse off, to be honest, first time, and now he's a perennial front runner. So I think in the context of one race, it was scrappy, and pretty much every time he got near another car, he ended up backwards. But overall, I think it was a very encouraging debut to qualify 4th, to have really good pace. If he comes back, then I'm sure he can be a front runner very, very soon.
I think it's just the nature of the sim racing that you have to get used to, because he had a spin at turn 1 and then everything just kind of gets away from you a little bit differently, I think, to real life, and you get a little bit wrapped up in it. So the pace was there, which was the encouraging thing for me.
Yeah, it does unravel quite quickly. You can be overwhelmed, and it's about getting feel. I was impressed that he was that quick off the start either way, to be completely honest. But as we say, we're getting ready to do things backwards yet again, because we now have the reverse grids. There's a couple names. You guys mentioned Pirro, certainly in the Legends, that'll have a favorable start position. But for the pro guys, it was pretty straightforward in terms of the qualifying position. So maybe we'll get a Tom Dillman further back, someone along those lines. Anyone that you kind of think stands out for you, Jack?
It's just going to be a question of what the front runners in the championship can do in terms of carving their way up the order. That's the tough thing. As Esteban Gutierrez said it, you've just got to try and keep away from the chaos. And how high can you climb? We saw Alex Buncombe I think he got into the top 10, didn't he, in Portugal in the reverse grid race, was running well, looked all set to take the lead of the championship, and then got caught up in a bit of a muddle, might even have had a crash by himself. And suddenly he's not there in the fight at the top of the standings quite so much. So consistency in these reverse grid races and using your brain are going to be the key parts of it, I think.
Don't know anything about that. Welcome back again to the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We're getting ready for the reverse grid races. We're jumping straight in because the pro guys are ready to go. And here's your grid based on qualifying in the first race.
Grid race, and we are going to have 10 laps of action. Can the championship leaders climb up the order? Aidan Millwood is on pole position. Beitske Visser alongside him on the front row of the grid as they go charging down towards the first corner. Millwood holds the lead. Visser sends it in. Round the outside goes Juan Manuel Correa. 3 wide at Tarzan. Visser's off. Correa leads. Millwood second. Third is James Pull. Bruno Spengler's fourth. Seb Morris is fifth. Plowman is sixth. Lachlan DiFrancesco, goodness me, there's absolute carnage up at the first couple of corners. We'll see who's got wiped out in that one. But Juan Manuel Correa, Jolien, round the outside at the start into the lead of the race. Thank you very much.
Splendid move. Millwood didn't get away from the line particularly well. That invited Beitske Visser to attack into turn one. Then Juan Manuel Correa just right around the outside, kept it clean, leads the race 7/10 to the good, and then everything broke loose behind, and Al Buncombe is out of the race in all of that. So that's one of our front runners usually. Started midfield. That's normally a recipe for a disaster, and it has been for Buncombe today.
1 of 10 then, and here we are on board with Tristan Vautier trying to get past Martin Plowman. Nicky Thiem's got up to 15th place. That's a good start for Nicky Thiem. We'll keep an eye on Gutierrez, whether I see him pop up on the left-hand side as those positions rotate through. Juan Manuel Correa continues to lead. Gutierrez 25th. So it's a much better start for Nicky Thiem than for Esteban Gutierrez. Tristan Vautier trying to make an overtake to the outside at Tarzan. Not able to get through there.
Look how much clear air Gutierrez has in front of him as well. He must have been caught up in that melee exiting turn one. And he's actually not only 25th, but he's got no one really in immediate sight. So a lot of work to do for Guti. Nicky Thiem, what a start. 15th place already from pretty much the back. Well, 32nd. It's great stuff for Thiem.
Yeah, massive as well in the championship context. As we know, he's certainly one of the front runners. Shout out to Correa as well. The guy is still in a recovery process after last year's accident. We saw from him earlier this season with the race, and great piece about it, driving with his left foot as his throttle foot as well as the brake pedal. So certainly having to adapt, and great lead so far, holding the gap to Millwood. A little bit further back, Tristan Vautier right now, battle behind him. It's all for position between Ben Yahir and Guerreri, and it looks like Guerreri's got the inside, but remember that switches back, so be careful as they round. He makes it through cleanly, but he doesn't get the cleanest of exits. And look who's waiting to jump on all this is Yiffy Ye, and we know he's very capable in the sim. Eubank's corner, let's see if that DRS in the Formula Race car means anything on the front straight.
Yeah, here we go then, and Guerreri's being really put towards the inside from Ben Yahir. He's going to have DRS, and now he's got to attack inside or outside, goes inside, and that's a smart move in the end from Guerreri, up into 8th place, and clear then of Ben Yahir. And at the moment, everyone else is driving very orderly at the front. Remember, these are the guys that qualified more towards the back, but right now, looking like good, solid front runners. Juan Manuel Correa, 1 second ahead of Aidan Millwood, and then a little bit more of a gap back to James Pull, who I think's got ahead of Bruno Spengler somewhere there.
That's quite impressive as well from Pull, because he's certainly been struggling for results, so great to see him up near the front. All of that battling certainly was beneficial to Tristan Vautier as well, who gets a bit of a gap, so we'll see if he can hold that. But you're right, this is the most tidy reverse grid race we've seen, and a lot more people at the front we don't really get to feature in this race.
Nicky Thiem down to 20th. 20th for Thiem, so he was up to 15th early on, and he's dropped back a few places in the midfield. So his charge and his championship challenge there has taken a bit of a blow the last couple of laps.
on board with Team in the top right as he comes through the chicane. There's Bruno Spengler down in the bottom left. Team working hard as Spengler in 4th place, trying to make a move on James Pull, coming down into turn 1. Pull covers the inside, bit of a nudge, and Spengler might be under attack from Seb Morris. Morris gives him a little bit of a nudge. Nothing doing. Charlie Eastwood's up into 18th place meanwhile. The sort of slow, quiet stalker of the pack has now got up to 17th, so he's making good progress, getting ahead of Job van Uytert there. We're on board with him here. Oh, not for much longer, but he and Nicky Thiem, both of the Aston Martin racers, are right together on circuit. Don't take each other out though. That's the key.
Both right up there in the championship as well, and now Thiem has gone past Eastwood, so that's important for Nicky Thiem, who was ahead in the championship. But Eastwood will also want his own points because he's been ticking along nicely and wants to try and salvage what he can here as well. And they're both still ahead of Esteban Gutierrez, who's leading the championship, so this is good stuff for them too. Where's Ant Davidson? I haven't seen Ant Davidson today.
We saw him in the first race. He is racing, but I'll see if I can find out where he is at the present time, Anthony Davidson. But yeah, we're on lap 4 of 10. Juan Manuel Correa leading, only 6/10 now, ahead of Aidan Millwood. So that's a good performance from Millwood. Only half at the 4/10 now from Juan Manuel Correa. So that gap at the front is really closing in, and Spengler and Pull have just swapped places. Here's the action down at turn 1. Spengler around the outside of Pull, and he's managed to get the job done, and Seb Morris is the next man to try and attack James Pull.
That's an important move there for Spengler. He's got more pace, and now he's got 2 seconds to try and close that lead battle. Look at Millwood, just 3/10 away from Correa, and now Morris attacking James Pull down to, it's so difficult to make a move here. It's such a quick corner, and Morris there with nothing to do, and he might fall back into the clutches of Martin Plowman now as well. So James Pull missing some pace and holding a pack behind him. Just look at Bruno Spengler now getting away.
Something's gone awry further back there, hasn't it? Something flying through the air. But we are got Juan Manuel Correa out in front, 4/10 of a second ahead of Millwood. Haven't been able to find out where. 13th is Darren Turner, not Darren Turner, Anthony Davidson at the moment. Tom Ingram's 13th. Haven't found out where Anthony Davidson is. There you go, that's nice and simple. Juan Manuel Correa out in front still. Millwood closing in again as they come out over the start-finish straight.
Gutierrez still not in the top 20, Team still 18th, so the quick guys are not able to progress. Gutierrez still 24th. They're not able to progress. I wonder if he got big damage. That's a move from Morris trying to go around the outside of James Pull now. Pull dropping back all the time, but Seb Morris really with nowhere to go through turn 1. What about the outside line at 4 that Dennis Lind was doing in the sim race? That's not going to happen either for Seb Morris just yet.
Here's a look at the replay of the battle for first position. Super close. Well, this is actually the battle for third, wasn't it? This was Spengler making his move on James Pull.
Yeah, that was a nice move from Spengler. That was good commitment late on the brakes, and Pull really had nothing to offer on the inside. So Spengler, with more pace, able to finally get that move done. He's now a 1.5 seconds clear in just 1 lap. So he's slowly catching Aidan Millwood as well, who's just dropped a few tenths further from Juan Manuel Correa. Correa looking good, Millwood looking good, but Spengler slowly inching towards the back of them.
But here with Yeyefei in 8th place at the moment, trying to get past Martin Plowman in 7th. Tristan Vautier's in 6th. Here's Job van Uytert up in the top right in 15th spot. Nicky Thiem 21st. Esteban Gutierrez 23rd. As we come out on the start finish
he's 18th as well.
Okay. So there we go. There we've finally found where Ant Davidson is. Yeyefei. Oh, what's going on here? Someone's going. There's all sorts of lockups into the first corner. I think that's Morris getting past James Pull. Yeah, those two going side by side, and Seb Morris now 4th, James Pull in 5th, Vautier, Plowman, and Millwood's in the lead. Aidan Millwood has moved into the lead of the race ahead of Juan Manuel Correa, and Spengler now is up into 2nd position on lap 7 of 10. The lead has changed, and Juan Manuel Correa has dropped away. Tristan Vautier, we're seeing, trying to overtake James Pull, coming through the right-hander of Skyflack, but Millwood out in front now, 0.5 second clear of Bruno Spengler.
So Millwood and Correa must have had a little get-together at some point, and that's allowed Spengler to become right in the mix. He's found a good second and a half, to be right on the tail of Aidan Millwood, the new race leader as well. And Correa's dropped from first down to third. Can only imagine Millwood had a run at Correa and they've had a touch or a tussle, and that slowed them both right down. And now Spengler trying to challenge for the lead.
Replay then, what happened? Here's Juan Manuel Correa. Has he made a mistake? He's gone out wide. Oh yeah, that's what happened.
He lost it all on his own then down at turn 4, oversteering on the exit, losing traction, then sort of skewing across the track, hitting Millwood, who somehow managed to keep it all together. Then they hit again and basically blocked the path for Bruno Spengler to pass them both in one go. So Correa's mistake all on his own, under not a huge amount of pressure, dropped it. And then, because it's quite narrow on that exit of turn 4 section, Spengler actually couldn't pass them both, and Millwood has the lead.
8 of 10. Zansho Simsport racer Aidan Millwood out in front. Bruno Spengler in second, a second behind. Juan Manuel Correa in third, Morris in fourth. Pull, Vautier, Plowman, Martin and Ingram. The rest of the top. So Tom Ingram's got up into 10th place. This is a great drive through the order from Tom Ingram.
And he's not done yet. He's right on the back of Martin as well. And then Plowman is, I mean, there's a big queue. Still James Pull is the man that they're all bottling up behind. And look at Morris, how quickly he's caught Correa as well. Pulls out a big slide. That's going to give Tristan Vautier a chance on this next straight. But yeah, Correa now struggling and Pull struggling, third and fifth.
On board with Tom Ingram now, trying to get 9th place away from Maxime Martin. Down the back straight, looks to the inside. And that'll be 9th position, you'd have thought, for Tom Ingram here. Gets it done nicely, and he's really charging up the order. Next up on his list is going to be Martin Plowman. Aidan Millwood is still 6/10 or 7/10 of a second ahead of Bruno Spengler. So Millwood looking fairly comfortable on the penultimate lap of the race. The same can't be said of Juan Manuel Correa, because they're all queued up behind him.
Ingram's going to be taking some mighty points in this championship today, with Gutierrez still 21st, Nicky Team just about the fringes of the teams. It's all going to be about Tom Ingram having finished second earlier on, and he's charged from 31st on the grid up into 9th, and he's not done yet. This battle from Juan Manuel Correa, looking back at all those cars, and somewhere in there is Tom Ingram down in 9th. It's still a lap and a half to go. They're all bottling up for third, and look in the top corner as well. Spengler's right on the back of Millwood for the lead.
So we're about to start the final lap of the race. This will be Spengler's last chance down into the first corner. You can see him up there in the top right, Bruno Spengler. Down in towards turn 1. It was Millwood who started on pole position for this race. Now they're all spreading out further back, side by side in multiple positions, and everybody barreling into the first corner. And it looks as though they're all going to safely get through. James Pull in 5th place still. Is ahead of Vautier. And big lock-up in front. Who's that? Millwood still in front of Spengler. Juan Manuel Correa is still in there as well. Then it's Morris.
It's and Ingram that were side by side, and they're still nose to tail. Ingram trying to get 7th now off Yiffy, and they're super close, right with Tristan Vautier as well.
Final lap of the race. Aidan Millwood leading the way. Spengler second, Correa third. Spengler's just 0.3 of a second behind race leader Millwood, but I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to make the move. Oh, there was a bit of a Larry one. And that is Yiffy getting past, and Ingram gets a place, and Ingram gets another place. Suddenly Tom Ingram finds himself in 6th position. Aidan Millwood, though, through the final corner, is going to win the reverse grid race in the Pro Cup. Bruno Spengler finishing in 2nd place, and Juan Manuel Correa finishing in 3rd. But what a performance from Aidan Millwood. A thumbs up, lights the flag victory for the Fleetwood Town fan. And what a good drive. He had to work for it, and there's chaos further back, as there has been for most of the race. Tom Ingram, though, what a drive. Back up into 6th position That's the first of our reverse grid races done. When we come back, we'll have the Sim Masters reverse race. Then it'll be the reverse grid for the Legends Trophy.
Well, Aiden Millwood might be the most happy victor that we've had so far this season. That was a pretty jubilant victory, I think, from him. But what a race all the way through. And some names that showed more consistency than we're used to. Shout out to Carrera, James Pohl. Both those guys haven't really done much in terms of results and looked pretty good, actually, throughout that race. Jack, I think Millwood's finally calmed down enough to speak to us.
Well, let's find out, shall we? Aiden, congratulations. A win in the Pro Cup. How's that?
You can wake me up now, Jack. Everything is, I'm shaking. I'm absolutely shaking. I thought that I was going to get served up into turn one and off into the weeds, but somehow I managed to keep up with Juan Manuel, and then he made a mistake and I was able to capitalize, and thankfully who was it that was behind me? Bruno wasn't able to capitalize on the mistakes I was making coming out of some of those corners. So that's to be, I know it's going to sound like bragging, but the first YouTuber to win the pro category is pretty mental, to say the least.
Well, congratulations. You're just going to do it again next week now.
Oh, come on.
Congratulations. See you later. Thanks, Aiden.
Cheers, Jack.
Very cool. You can certainly see why that means something to him. Obviously, being the YouTuber, he's got Spangler hunting him down at the end, a legend in the motorsport world. And holds on. Definitely right to be happy for that result, but a good result all the way through, especially for BMW Motorsport. Obviously, the Visser stepped in this week for Ang. She did reasonably well considering rookie in the series, but Spangler still brings BMW a good haul of points, which they definitely need in the manufacturer's trophy. And that's certainly a championship that's also looking quite tight right now, Julian.
Yeah, it is. And really, I'm surprised that some of the big guns not making it through. Honestly, Anthony Davidson, we've not seen him all day, and he's been racing in the midfield. It's really competitive, but he was fourth in the championship coming into this one. Charlie Eastwood, again, bit anonymous. Nicky Thiem made a good start, couldn't get through in the other Aston Martin. And then Gutierrez for the other Mercedes, no big points. So BMW really making the most of that race today.
Absolutely. And you guys can make the most of your opportunity just by tuning in to watch. We're going to show you how right now. If you'd like a chance to win a Rocket phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and answer this question. Who are the current Williams Formula One drivers? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to the race fans on rocketphones.com right now. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER and you'll receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones worth $44.99 when you buy any phone. You can currently purchase a Rocket IO Pro phone for just £99 or the Rocket IO 3D for just £69, giving race fans a great deal on a new phone. Always great to have a chance to win something as well as watch some great racing. We've had it so far, Zandvoort. It certainly is proving to be a slightly different challenge, though, Jack.
I'm really enjoying it, actually. We're getting some great racing, some great dive bombs into the first corner at Tarzan. We're seeing some great runs through the final corner, and then a middle sector that really challenges the drivers. I'm very happy.
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting circuit in that the first corner does have some banking that was previous. That's not new, similar to some of the other corners, but it allows you to actually still carry some momentum on the outside. Turn 4 is the same. You guys mentioned the rain line Dennis Lind was running, and obviously the last corner lets them run a little closer. So it adds some options now, which I think really opens the circuit up in a lot more ways. We'll see if that's the case in just a second as we do the reverse grid for the sim drivers very soon. Rudy Van Buren was the star of his home circuit in the first race as we get ready for the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phone reverse grid for the Sim Masters. He needed the points because he was well back in the order, hadn't had a great result, as he said, finally sorted things out. Meanwhile, though, Bono Huis closed the gap to the front. Simičić was a little bit further down the order. Now we go backwards and do it again. Guys, this is starting to shape up to be a real battle at the front.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see who's starting at the front of the order, because it looks as though Kevin Siggy, even though he was 5 seconds off the pace, might have just snuck in within the 107% rule. So we will see who's going to be on pole position for this race. But Siggy, I think, is certainly going to be towards the front of the fight. What other drivers are up there? It is Kevin Siggy on pole position, Kuba Brzezinski alongside him on the front row of the grid, Mike Epps and Liam Duval in 4th place. So it is a reverse grid, but sort of in all but name, Jolien. Like, this isn't a reverse grid. These are just people who've played the system a little bit.
They have played the system. These are championship challengers. Siggy, Brzezinski, Epps was on the podium last time out as well. They've played the system and they've cut it fine, but they were still within 107%. Thus, they keep their front row slots. So really, they're huge favourites, really, because the rest of the bunch behind them, Yovsky maybe in 8th was holding back. All these guys were holding back a bit, but Siggy is very, very quick, and it'll be difficult to stop from pole.
There you get Gergo Baldi in 9th place, Petr Berliak in top 10, Alan Terzic in 12th position. I mean, the other part of this is that everybody in this list you would consider a front runner as well. That's the other challenging part for sure. Some of these guys have experimented with the rules, but at the same time, they all are fast front runners in their own right. Here we go then, Siggy on pole, Brzezinski alongside him on the front row of the grid, Epps and Duval are 3rd and 4th, and the race gets underway down towards Tarzan, and it is a poor start from who's dropped back a long way at the start there. It's Mike Epps. Mike Epps all the way down to 8th position. So Siggy out in front, Brzezinski 2nd, Liam Duval in 3rd. We're on board with Rudy van Buren, who's 29th at the moment, trying to climb up the order. Everybody locking up into turns 3 and 4. It's chaos in there. Van Buren manages to make his way through. I can't take my eyes off the top right here, because this is going to be, they're like 3 wide going into Sky Flag. I might have to close my eyes for this one. Through the right-hander, and I think they're just about going to get away with it, are we? That goes to the outside, Kevin Siggy, but yes, everybody safely through. Sorry, Rudy van Buren safely through in the early stages of this race.
Van Buren trying what looks like a quite delightful move. Don't know who it's on, but he's made it stick all the way around the outside through those triple right-handers, and now he's not going to make it stick at all, is he? Because he's under pressure now for the next one. So it's still raging on. Van Buren side by side through a number of corners. That's going to end in tears. Surely, somehow it doesn't. And Van Buren's about to pick off another place or two.
Lap 1 of 10, Kevin Siggy out across the line, leading the way, a second clear of Kuba Brzezinski. Liam Duval is in 3rd place. Borja Milan is up into 4th position. Mike Epps has recovered into 5th spot after a slow start. Down towards turn 1, everybody starts fanning out and attacking one another. It's all side by side into Tarzan, people trying to climb places, but up at the front, it's fairly calm. Someone's ended up coming out of the pit lane there, but we're on lap 2 of 10. Contact, round, chaos. Someone else's round, one of the Williams cars facing the wrong way. I think it was Agustin Canapino that's facing the wrong way on lap 2 of 10, but Siggy out in front.
Van Buren picking up the pieces from that, even though I think he caused the chaos there. I think it might have been Wisniewski trying to pass Van Buren. And Van Buren then looking so much at Wisniewski behind that he hit the car ahead, sent that one into a spin, and then picked up another couple of places on the exit. So all in all, yeah, Wisniewski drops down to 29th, just 1 place behind Jurnej Simončić. And Van Buren picks up a couple of places in all of that.
But how wild is this action? Second lap, and it's still 2 abreast all the way through. Chicane's going to be tight. Continue to try and find space. Van Buren the contact once again, but tries to hold the exit, tries to get the run, and this time he should have the position. This is way down the order for 21st, and yet they're still trying to find their form to get through the field. It's the battles we need to look for up front as well, though, because Siggy, a championship contender, as you say, the 107% rule that has the lead, is trying to get a gap on Brzezinski, but can't quite do so. Epps has at least recovered to 5th, so that'll bring him back in. Remember, he was a podium finisher in Portugal just a week ago, as once again we see a ton of battling going on. Here's the lead. This is the gap. Siggy's got it. Pretty controlled so far. We haven't talked so much, Julian, about the tire degradation. Obviously, there's quite a bit of punishment going on with the front left, but so far it seems like no one's really mentioned it to us.
And so far, it hasn't been as dramatic as we've seen the last couple of weeks. Siggy right now 1 second clear of Kuba Brzezinski. Duval and Milan third and fourth, running fairly equidistant behind Brzezinski, but they're all just checking their pace right now, and Siggy looking good. Remember, he is very fast, and he started this reverse grid race on pole, but so is Brzezinski as well in second, so they both know how to play the game, and they're doing it well. I'm impressed with Mike Epps to be back up to 5th place after his bad start, so he's clearly got a lot of pace in there as well. And Bono Huis is 16th. So in terms of championship fighters, Bono Huis is the man that's made the most progress, more than Jone Simoncic further down. So championship-wise, there's a lot at stake here. There's equal points for the normal race and the reverse grid, and Bono Huis is making gains over Simoncic, over Wisniewski, and Van Buren is down to 30th again. He's come somewhere. He's come unstuck, potentially with Yuri Kasdorp, who's right down at the back.
Yeah, Kasdorp way down there in 31st. Simoncic, just to point out, was 29th, so Huis up to 16th. That's a huge amount of points. In fact, that may even be enough to put him into the lead of the championship as we go on board with Baldy around the back end of the circuit. Drama, who's that? That's Mike Epps. We just talked about his recovery, and now he's a moving chicane for everyone to get around as they head into the chicane. Bit awkward. They have to find space, and look at the positions changing inside. It's Epps that's trying to avoid, at this point, Yayovsky, who manages to keep it clean and hold his line, but this is extremely tense.
Epps has made a mistake, hasn't he? He's made a big mistake on the back straight somewhere coming into the quick right, and he's lost a load of places. You saw a little grimace from him as well as he realizes he's absolutely blown this one. From having a good charge of a race, he's now back into 8th place, which ironically is where he was after the start, from 3rd on the grid, dropped back to 8th, charged up. Big mistake, and let's have another look at it then. He's on the back of 4th place, I think it's Milan, and he's basically caught himself out and hit the back of Milan, going for 4th place. And then look, he's absolutely swamped by cars left and right, and somehow manages to at least maintain 8th place. But he was quick, Mike Epps, and he's come unstuck moving for 4th place, so that's a bit of a shame for him.
That 5 of 10. Kevin Siggy leading the way, 0.8 of a second ahead of Kuba Brzezinski in 2nd place. Liam Duval running in 3rd with Milan 4th, Pinto 5th, Yuyovsky 6th, Ciara, Epps, Berliak and Baldi the top 10 under the ABK Beer Bridge, and swinging it into the right-hander. We're on board with Yuyovsky in front of Zbigniew Ciara, who is in front of Mike Epps as this fight continues. Kuba Brzezinski only 7/10 back from Kevin Siggy up at the front, so he's keeping Siggy under a little bit of an eye as we go back on board in the bottom left anyway, with Mike Epps coming through the chicane, very much under a bit of pressure from Petr Berliak now, who's in 9th place.
Brzezinski's dropped Duval as well, so it's a 2-horse race now, halfway through the race for the lead. Siggy with Brzezinski keeping him right honest right now, less than a second in it. Here's Mike Epps then lining up a move on Ciara. That looks good up the inside, surely a bit of commitment, and he'll make it through really sideways, and now have the inside for turn 2, 3 as well, side by side, and it's still they're managing to give it going round the outside for Epps at 4. That's looking good, really nice move, and he's made it stick.
Brilliant racing between Mike Epps and Zbigniew Ciara. Very, very entertaining. Somehow they managed to make it through there all happily and together. Through Skyflak they come, and Epps is now up into 7th spot, chasing down Erhan Yayovsky in front. And look at that, as soon as Epps is through, he's disappearing up the road from Ciara. Brendan Lee's just got ahead of Pavlovsky and up into 17th place. Kevin Siggy's lead to Kuba Brzezinski is 0.8 of a second still, so Brzezinski not making huge progress just yet. Bono Huis is in 14th position ahead of Yannick Bock in the GPVWC team entry, who is ahead of Dennis Jordan. So Huis is making reasonable progress from the back of the order.
And Simoncic has fallen down to 29th. Right at the back now, pretty much. Jone Simoncic, who was our championship leader before this race. This is a great chance for Bono Huis to make an inroad, and probably he'll lead the championship after this through consistency.
Across the line comes Yannick Bock, Dennis Jordan right behind him. That's good news for Huis in his mirrors, although in front of him it's kicking off a little bit, isn't it? Kevin Ryan is fighting side by side. Huis needs to not get too involved in this and wiped out in all of the melee. He goes to the high line, gets a good run out, bit of a step out as he tries to rejoin the circuit. He's now behind Vlad Tokarev as they come through the sweepers. And we'll see whether Huis can make a move. Probably not up at that part of the circuit, but he's making good progress.
We lost Ryan entirely there. I think he dropped it actually. So Bono Huis was trying to avoid the chaos, make a place, and I think Ryan lost it down at turn 4, probably on his own, and fell right down the order. So that makes it easier for Bono Huis, up to 13th, and as you say, right behind Tokarev. And then there's a bit more of a gap to Baldi and the edge of the top 10. But really strong race this for Huis in terms of a championship drive.
This is the first race for Vlad Tokarev. Can't see him in the standings from the first 2 races. Lap 8 of 10. Kevin Siggy out in front, 7 tenths ahead of Kuba Brzezinski. So Brzezinski just holding that position at the moment. Liam Duval doesn't have the pace to come with them. Pinto's just got past Milan while the 2 are side by side for 4th position. Bono Huis on the attack now, coming into turn 1. Looks to the outside. Won't be able to get through there. Back on the power. Needs to be careful because he's got Bock right behind him, who we're on board with here for the GPVWC team, and Bock trying to get through, not able to quite get past. I've got a GPVWC race on Tuesday night around Montreal. There's your fact of the day. Huis going side by side through these fast sweepers. That's going to be a bit brave. To the outside of Skyflag, Bono Huis, the Dutchman, makes the move. What an unbelievable pass. Bono Huis gains the place and is up into 12th.
That'll do. What a move around the outside of the fastest corner on the circuit. Huge commitment, and made it stick. Any little tap from Tokarev there on the inside, and Huis was having a monster of an accident, but really, really smart move. Full commitment. Here's a replay of it, side by side over these crests. Look, Tokarev is still there, and Huis just attacks so much speed, and he makes it clean around the outside. Beauty of a move.
Wow. Lap 9 of 10, penultimate lap of the race. Kevin Siggy out in front, Kuba Brzezinski in second, Liam Duval in third, Pinto, Milan, Jajovski, Ciara, Berliak, Epson, Terzic are the rest of the top 10. Berliak has just got past Ciara. Down
Look at the gap for the lead.
Oh yeah, just 4 tenths of a second on the penultimate lap. So is Brzezinski, has he been playing the tyre game? Here they are, coming through Skyflag now. Brzezinski in the Williams Esports car, Siggy still out in front. On board with Mike Epps, who's somehow in 9th place now. I swear he's always been in 8th, climbing up the order, but now he's down in 9th again. And he's trying to get past Zbigniew Ciara in front. But here comes Segui, just ahead of Brzezinski, half a second between them. Oh, Brzezinski might fancy a little lunge here, you never know.
This is his last proper chance then. He's going to get DRS down towards turn 1 for the final time, and he's closing already, 4 tenths. DRS open now. Can he get close enough to try and attack Siggy at turn 1?
Siggy covers the inside. Brzezinski goes to the high line, tries to run it all the way around the outside. Siggy shepherds him wide, just about leaves enough room. Now down into Masters box. Brzezinski has that last opportunity gone away. Siggy defended well, I think, because if he hadn't covered the inside, I felt like Kuba was going for it.
He was, absolutely, but he's still right there, and Siggy can't afford to make a slip. So close, but not able to make a move through the quick right there. And now the opportunities start to dwindle. Siggy might have managed this one to perfection. And as you say, that defense was good and critical because Brzezinski knew that was his chance. Around the outside is possible because of the banking on the corner. You can run a lot of speed, and Siggy just covered the line well.
So through the chicane for the final time, there's Nuno Pinto running in 4th place, trying to get ahead of Liam Duval, but Kevin Siggy in the top right makes it through the chicane without any trouble, down towards the Ari Lyondike corner for the final time. Alan Terzic thinking about a move on Mike Epps into the chicane on this last lap, but it is Kevin Siggy out across the line who takes the win in the reverse grid race from pole position. He's played it well and he's taken the win. Kuba Brzezinski in 2nd place, 3rd is Liam Duval, and Alan Terzic comes across the line in 10th position, just behind Mike Epps as they cut the timing beam. And we've got side by side further back as it all kicks off. I think that's Dennis Lind involved in that fight. Bono Huiz finishes in 12th place, Lind in 18th, Lee in 19th, David Morocek finishing in 20th position. But the win for Kevin Siggy, well, after the final Legends race, which is coming up next, we will bring you the full championship classifications. But the winner, Kevin Siggy, Kuba Brzezinski second, Liam Duval third. Legends coming up next.
Pretty impressive stuff. Siggy from pole, you guys kind of touched on it. Definitely the favorite given that position, but great battle nonetheless between him and Brzezinski. Epps up and down, certainly one story, but the bigger one is Huiz gets a massive points haul over everyone else, and big boy Bono around the outside. That was a brave move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it, racing
I wasn't sure who was going to jump on that
impressive,
one.
very impressive move. I was waiting for you to jump in on that one. No, it was what a move. I mean, such good commitment around the outside there. Mike Epps also raced with a lot of commitment, I have to say, but found himself in the wars a little bit. But Bono Huiz, probably, maybe the star of that race there, really. Brzezinski and Siggy, good fights at the end, but they started at the front. They chose to do that. Bono Huiz fought his way from the back, finished on the cusp of the top 10. Big points.
Big points indeed. We'll see what points Siggy has to say about his race as well, because it looked like he managed the gap, but it was close at the end, Jack.
Yeah, let's speak to Kevin Siggy now. Kevin, you managed the race well, but I guess you managed qualifying even better. That must have been quite difficult to get right.
Yeah, it actually was. I was actually calculating like for 5-10 minutes which laps are gonna get the 107%, and I was very lucky in the end with the second lap not being faster than Kuba's. So yeah, that was the goal. Just getting first place in the second race and hope to not crash in the first one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations. Good points for the championship. See you next week.
Thank you.
Good points for the championship indeed. Good points. How about viewing points? How about 3 webcams and some other cool contraptions? We're going to take a look at Tom Cornell's rig because it's one of the most interesting ones so far.
Okay, Tom Cornell here at my simulator, which is maybe a little bit over the top, but that's the way it is. This is in the man cave, the official FIA approved Wiegers roll cage, completely with a play sheet. It's the Simtag frame, completely built with some nice yellow stripes in it. Also Simtag pedals, completely hydraulic, and also with the Simucube steering frame and everything inside. Also the GT steering wheel, and of course the precision sim engineering display. I have a triple screen display with 3 webcams, 1 between the legs, 1 in front of me, which is here, and 1 in the back. The H pattern shifting for the historic cars. But watch this one. Check there. Yeah. There he is. It's a smoke machine. So if I spin, they're small all around. How cool is that? And the computer itself is also a little bit over the top, I think. Okay, guys. Follow me, Tom Cornell, on Twitch or my social channels. See you on track, Tom Cornell.
I love that he's got a roll cage, but more impressively, or perhaps questionably, a smoke machine that he manually presses when he spins, just for that little extra immersion, Jack.
But why does he have a webcam between his legs?
Well, I was hoping you were going to answer that for me. I assume it's a pedal cam, Jack. Get your head out of the gutter.
Okay, fine.
But if you want to know why and all of those other things and everything else that's going on, follow us on socials. Don't forget to do so at We Are The Race on both Twitter and Instagram, as well as hitting the subscribe button down below this channel, because there's lots more coming up, including the Indy 500 next week. We're going to get ready for our final race of the day. It's the Legends race once again. Time for the Legends to start backwards. We had Alonso starting at the front and finishing near the back in the first race of the All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phone's Legends Trophy. see if maybe he's sorted out the consistency in the time between races and maybe he can go forward. But watch for Olivier Panis maybe to have a good debut as well, starting a little bit further back. Guys, this is certainly going to be a lot of fun again. Julian, it's been chaotic for the most part.
Yeah, always is. And it's about keeping out of trouble. Really, Jan Magnussen, the man to beat in that first race. Jenson Button there in the championship as well. Let's see how far they can come up the order, because they've both been really quick and they've got a lot of progress to make.
So pole position for the Legends Trophy reverse grid race, our final race of the day here at the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones. And after a very entertaining race one, won by Jan Magnussen, he's going to have his work cut out to try and carve through the order in this reverse grid race. Pole position is Emanuele Pirro, the man who was joint with Button at the top of the championship standings. We wondered if maybe that was planned from Pirro, but we'll have to wait and see, because he didn't really have the pace in race one. We'll have to see. Brian Herter in 6th place. Olivier Panis, another debutant, in 5th position on the grid. Then we've got Helio Castroneves in 9th. Mario Dominguez completing the top 12. Darren Turner in there in 10th position, just in front of Thiago Monteiro. And then the further back we get, the closer we get towards the big names. Petter Solberg, 13th on the grid after winning last time out in Portugal. Tom Coronel in 14th place. Franchitti in 18th, ahead of Montoya and Brabham. And then at the back of the pack, we've got Jenson Button, Jan Magnussen, Fernando Alonso, Mika Salo. What can they do coming through from the back? The reverse grid race at the Race All-Star Series, powered by Rocket Phones, about to get underway. Pirro on pole as the lights go out. It's a pretty decent start from the Italian. Papis immediately into 2nd place ahead of Kanaan. Onto the brakes into turn 1. We're on board with Jason Plato in the top right as we wait to see if the chaos will unfold. And it doesn't go too badly, actually. So far, spoke too soon. Plato's in the wall. Someone else is facing backwards. Montoya is already up into 9th place. What a great start from Juan Pablo Montoya. Plato recovering. I think there's a car upside down there, isn't there? That looked like carnage. Button's up to 11th. Magnussen's up into 12th. And Petter Solberg's up into 7th position. But Pirro it is who's leading the way.
So Pirro's got a 2-second gap already. His starting from pole has gone perfectly so far. But, as you say, some of the big guns are coming through. Montoya 9th, Button and Magnussen 11th and 12th as well. They should find their way through some of these guys a little bit quicker. And with a slightly longer Legends race, they've got a chance to get right up to the podium. And if Pirro hasn't got the pace, maybe even challenge him later on, because they've given themselves a huge chance for that start.
So, lap 1 of 11 in the Legends Trophy. They're racing Brabham BT44Bs around the new Zandvoort circuit. It's public debut for a race. And it is Emanuele Pirro out in front. Joint championship leader coming into this weekend. There's a move from Petter Solberg, and he then subsequently puts Thiago Monteiro off into the wall. Had a great chat with Petter Solberg for the Race Esports podcast, which you can download from all good podcasting places. Really, really good chat. We're on board with Fernando Alonso up in the top right in 18th at the moment, trying to make places as he closes in on the cars in front. Someone's having a little bit of a run off there. I think it was Max Papis who drops to 5th place. Darren Turner's up into 4th. Fittipaldi is running in 3rd place at the moment behind Andy Priaulx. So good drive this from Emo.
Papis just dropped from 2nd to 5th. He was under pressure from Priaulx, and then I think went in a bit hot or got a tap and lost all those places in one go. In all of it, Pirro's got 4 seconds on Priaulx now, so he's really jumped. And that's going to be a tough gap to try and manage for Priaulx, Fittipaldi, Turner, any of these guys, even if they do have the pace of Pirro. We've got to remember, Pirro's the joint championship leader, or certainly was until the earlier race. 4 seconds advantage now is huge.
Oh, Turner sends it up the inside of Fittipaldi, and the two bang wheels. Turner is through, up into 3rd position. Fittipaldi to 4th, Solberg to 5th, Papis to 6th, Monteiro and Montoya battling over 7th and 8th, Coronel 9th, Button still ahead of Magnussen in 10th and 11th at the moment. Fernando Alonso is up into 17th place, and there goes Emerson Fittipaldi into the back of Darren Turner. Everybody has to take evasive action. Someone gets clipped in there in all of that. Button trying to get past Helio Tom Coronel for 8th place. I think it was Montero that got a bit of a hit as they come into the final corner now. Two people go wide. Coronel's one of them. I think that might be Fittipaldi flying into the gravel trap. Pirro still out in front though, avoiding all the melee.
I think it was Fittipaldi into the gravel. Montoya 6th, Button 7th, under pressure from Coronel, but he survives that by breaking very deep into turn 1 and still neatly making the apex. Alonso's upside down.
So Fernando, and he's quit. So Fernando Alonso out of the race, and I'm trying to think of, has Alonso been upside down in his career? I don't
Melbourne,
recall one.
16.
Oh, yeah, that massive crash. Sorry, what an idiot. Lap 3 of 11. Jenson Button here now then. Now he has gained a bit of ground on Magnussen because they were 10th and 11th. Now Button is 7th and Magnussen is 10th. So this is good news for Button as far as his championship challenge is concerned. And he's going to get to the inside of Papis here, is he? Onto the brakes. Yes, he is. And Coronel follows through as well.
Nice move from Button. Papis a little bit slower from starting at the front of the reverse grid, but doesn't quite have the pace. And the next man behind him is going to be Jan Magnussen. But Montoya and then Button are making really good progress here through the traffic, up to 5th and 6th. Magnussen being a little bit left behind now in 9th, the earlier race winner. And this is working out very nicely for Jenson Button, who didn't do any qualifying tactics, just went for pole, didn't quite get it, but now from the back, right up towards the front.
That is what happened to Fernando Alonso. A huge shunt. I wonder if that was with Fittipaldi. No, Fittipaldi's still going, so who would that have been with? Thiago Montero, I reckon.
That was a biggie. on the bank part of the circuit as well, the final corner, they came together and just smashed into the wall. So it might knock a little bit of something into him before the race at Indy next week.
Yeah, there's the replay on board with Montero. So he's struggling to rejoin here. And then what happens? Here comes Alonso. And, that'll do it.
Yeah, rejoining across the track on a flat-out bank corner is never nice. So Montero was doing some donuts there in the gravel for a little bit and then came on maybe a little bit too aggressively to the inside. Massive crash. Huge closing speed between the two of them.
Absolutely. So we are on lap 4 of 11. Emanuele Pirro's lead over Andy Prio is now up to 5 seconds. Darren Turner is running in 3rd place. Petter Solberg is 4th, closing in on Turner with Juan Pablo Montoya and Jenson Button coming with him. Tom Coronel is in 7th spot. Jan Magnussen is in 8th. Fittipaldi 9th and Max Papis completing the top 10. And we're on board with Mika Salo just outside that top 10. Focused. I shouldn't laugh, but he's so invested in it, Mika Salo, as he chases down Max Papis for 10th place.
Poor bloke looks like he's really, really terrified every time he turns into a corner, just bracing for it. He's having another really good drive though. Onto the back of Max Papis for 10th place. This should be doable and might be doable right now on the inside of turn 1. Can he get the power down better? Yep. Through into 10th. And Salo's continuing his good day so far. Still behind though, Montoya 5th, Button 6th, and Magnussen now up into 7th. He's past Coronel.
So Salo up into the top 10. Whoop, Mario Dominguez ain't stopping that one. He crashes into David Brabham, collecting that on the battle through. Pirro still out in front, 5.7 seconds ahead of 2nd place. Here is Jan Magnussen then. The replay of him coming down into turn 1, pulls to the inside, past Tom Coronel. Straightforward there for Jan.
Coronel's a little bit early on the brakes. Button did the same, and now Magnussen just a bit deeper on the brakes, and that makes it a more straightforward move into one of the biggest braking zones on the track. Magnussen up to 7th, and he's within a second of Button already. So Button got through those few cars, but hasn't managed to scamper away. The two of them are going to be together on track very, very shortly.
Tony Oliuzzi and Max Papis having a bit of wheel banging. Here comes Juan Pablo Montoya in the top right, trying to get past Petter Solberg as they come down the start-finish straight into turn 1. Solberg covers the inside. Montoya to the outside at Tarzan. Can he go all the way around the outside? Looks like he might be able to pull it off. Not quite. Solberg holds on to 4th place for the moment, but that fight could allow Button into the party before too long, as Mika Salo now passes Emerson Fittipaldi and moves up into 9th place.
Montoya needs to watch out he doesn't lose too much time fighting with Solberg, who defended really nicely there, because Jenson Button is within a second of him. So before he knows it, he's going to be defending as well, with the Braun liveried Brabham just behind him and closing in. Very close though, and difficult to pass through this sector for Montoya. So Button needs to make the most of this little scrap ahead and try and close in. This is for 4th place. And remember, these guys started at the back pretty much.
And Solberg is very wide there, or very sideways, I should say, coming through the left-hander now down towards the chicane. Montoya right behind Solberg. There's the rear view from Solberg in the top right. Pirro still out in front, 7 seconds ahead of Priaulx. Montoya, neat and tidy, and almost gets the drive out of the chicane, and he does. So Juan Pablo Montoya with a great move, has the inside now for Harry Leindijk, but that could give Solberg the run. It's almost like Montoya, in an ideal world, wouldn't have been in front coming out onto the start-finish straight, and now here comes Jenson Button off the back of the banking. Montoya covers the inside. Button goes to the inside. Solberg to the outside. Into the brakes for Tarzan. Montoya's going straight on. He's getting in the sea, and Button goes past them both.
Opportunistic from Button. He did well to manage his break point because Montoya was so deep, cautious about the people attacking him there. And Button then scoops through nice and simply. Magnussen's in a ding-dong with Solberg now just behind. They're side by side. And Montoya now trying to get back at Jenson Button.
Here they come up towards Skyflak. Button covers the inside. Montoya right up with him. Solberg in 6th, then Magnussen has just lost out to Coronel and Salo. And dropping down the order, so something's happened to Jan Magnussen. Has he made a mistake and spun off the road potentially? We'll try and get a replay of that. But Pirro is still leading, 7 seconds ahead of Priaulx. And Magnussen's had a big crash, I believe. So we'll try and get a look at that one. On board with Petter Solberg, though, watching Montoya and Button fight it out in front. Montoya sends it to the inside again. He's super deep on the brakes, and they have a bit of contact. And Solberg is on the power, and he's back in front of Button, is he? He's going to go to the outside as they come into the final corner. This is great racing between the three of them. I think we're going to go 3 wide again. Jolyon down to Tarzan.
It looks like it's going to be take 2. Montoya back at the lead of the trio, but Button's going to tuck in. Solberg's got a better run in a double slipstream, and Montoya starting to weave early on in the straight.
Button to the outside this time, late on the brakes, too late because that allows Solberg up the inside. Button gets the drive off, Solberg comes across, there's a bit of a touch, and Solberg's off onto the grass. I think he came across a bit aggressively there on Button, and he is in the gravel, and Button is now a couple of seconds back from Montoya.
Yeah, it's shame for Solberg, but he was just too aggressive at trying to chop the nose of Jenson Button, and ended up putting himself into the wall, really. He's still 7th place. This is the Jan Magnussen crash that we're about to see then. He's at the back of this, it was a 4-car train, and or is this the Jan Magnussen one? This is Solberg. Yeah, Magnussen goes to the inside, and they're still side by side up the hill. Whoa. Gets a little tap, squirrely on the grass, and held it there.
Ah. It must have been a different crash then for Jan. Oh, is this it? One. Yes, it is.
Oh, that was a bit sloppy for Magnussen. He just got a wheel on the grass over the right kink over the brow there, and lost it on his own then. So the one before with Solberg maybe just distracted him. He took his eye off the ball just a few seconds later and had a much bigger crash and a lot more damaging crash.
On board with Tom Coronel, looking at the webcam above him, as he runs in 6th place at the moment. Solberg's dropping, so Solberg's gone away now. He's run into trouble. Olivier Panis is into the top 10, even though he started in the top 10. But Pirro still leading. Priaulx 2nd, Turner 3rd, Montoya 4th, Button 5th, Coronel, Salo, Fittipaldi Liuzzi and Panis. And is this going to be Fittipaldi's best result here? I think it is. This is going to be Fittipaldi's best ever result if he can hold on to 8th place. But he's got Tonio Liuzzi right up behind him, and we've got 3 laps to go. Let's see what happened to Petter Solberg. Whoop, there she goes.
Just a massive slide of the rear, almost on braking there, and then someone else getting taken out on the rear. Oh no, not another one. It's all got a bit messy down there, but yeah, Solberg then just lost it on the rear on braking.
Lap 9 of 11. There is Tonio Liuzzi in 9th place behind Emerson Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi's best result so far has been a 14th place, so a top 10 would be a brilliant result for Emo, the 2 times Formula 1 world champion in the early 1970s, and by a long way the oldest driver in the grid.
Battle's closing up for 2nd place. Turner within a second of Vandy Prio for 2nd. Just a couple of laps to go. That could yet be on there for Darren Turner.
Here comes Liuzzi through the final corner. He'll get the run here on Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi covers the inside. On board with Tonio Liuzzi to the outside. And should be able to get this done on the brakes into Tarzan. Fittipaldi was super late and he got it stopped. Great work from the Brazilian.
Brilliant work from Fittipaldi. He just knows his braking distance there better than Liuzzi. Looked like he was going to go off, but kept it neat and tidy. So Liuzzi has to try again. For 8th position, Emerson doing a great job.
Lap 10 of 11, penultimate lap of the race. Can Fittipaldi hold on to 8th position? Liuzzi right behind him. It's very close for 2nd, you're right. Still Prio and Turner right together. Here's Dario Franchitti trying to make his way past Jourdain. And Pirro still out in front, so I'm interested. I don't know if we'll speak to Pirro because he's not always available for an interview, but if we do, we need to find out whether his qualifying was planned or not.
Oh, I think it might have been. He's winning this one by nearly 10 seconds. He shouldn't be qualifying plumb last, surely.
I know, I don't disagree, but you know.
You wanna put him on the stand.
But he didn't make any progress in the first race. That's the thing for me.
Yeah, it was a bit peculiar. He ended up with a sensible enough finish, and Jenson Button not winning that first race will help him, and Button being behind Montoya and not really making any progress now on the top 4 will also help him.
On board with Tonio Liuzzi now. Final lap down towards turn 1. Can he get past Emerson Fittipaldi into the braking zone for the right-hander? He's tried to do the old cutback. He hasn't quite been able to pull it off, and Petter Solberg's joining this fight as well. On the final lap of the race, Pirro 10 seconds up the road.
Nice scrap this. Fittipaldi still putting his car in the right places. Still got the racecraft in him, if not the absolute pace, and he's frustrating Liuzzi quite a lot right now. In this section, it's just so hard for Liuzzi to find a way through because you're barely braking, and they're fast corners, difficult to follow through. He's just 2 tenths behind, but with nowhere to go. Emo putting his car in the right places, stopping it on the apex like that, and this is a chance though.
Liuzzi gets the inside line, turns into the right-hander, and that is 8th place then. Here comes Emanuele Pirro, though, out through the final corner. A dominant drive from Pirro, a lights to flag victory for the Italian, and he puts himself back into championship contention. Here is Emerson Fittipaldi, though. Can he hold on to a top 10 finish? He's got Petter Solberg right behind him. There goes Solberg. Fittipaldi to the outside. Can't quite get the power down and get the cutback. Now into the final corner. If he just holds it here, it's still going to be a 10th place finish, which will be his best result in the Race All-Star Series. Petter Solberg recovers up into 9th place and 10th across the line with a great drive. Emerson Fittipaldi, but Pirro, Prio and Turner, the top 3 at the end of the reverse grid Legends race. Franchitti on Jourdain across the line, and Jourdain holds on just about, and Dario Franchitti has done that move before actually, as he's crossed the checkered flag and finish line. He's then crashed into a car. I can't remember where it was, but it was in real life and he went upside down. But yeah, That's a movie he's performed before. But Emanuele Pirro takes the win. Andy Priaulx second. Darren Turner third. Montoya, Button, Coronel, Salo, Liuzzi, Solberg and Fittipaldi, the rest of the top 10. So apparently Emerson, we've been helping Emerson Fittipaldi, or he's been getting a lot of help through the last week or so with his setup and trying to get him more up to speed, and it certainly looks as though it has worked out that way. But Emanuele Pirro takes the win. Jenson Button then 5th place. Decent recovery drive. Again, a lot of these drivers, it's how quickly you can get forward from the back. It'll be frustrating for Jan Magnussen, Jolien, because that was a big load of points that didn't really appear in the end.
Yeah, the second race in a row, second week in a row, he's lost a load of points on the reverse grid race. He should be there with Pirro and Button in the championship, but it's those sort of mistakes that are just holding him back.
So now let's speak to Andy Priaulx, shall we? A very strong drive from Priaulx, his best result of the championship so far. Andy, how was that race for you?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I didn't have the pace in qualifying, struggled a little bit today, but found a nice way in the second race, got through. And yeah, it was a pretty good race, really. I mean, obviously, Emanuele's just pulled away. So it was about keeping, I think it was DT behind me. And just having a great fun time racing with all these amazing legends here on the grid, and just privileged to be part of that.
Yeah, Darren Turner was really closing in towards the sort of midway, towards the end of the race. Was he ever close enough to put you under real pressure?
Do you know what? I think with this sim racing, you're always close enough to get taken over or make a mistake. It's so tough. So, yeah, I mean, he was in my mirrors. I could see it and just needed to, keep my consistency and try and finish the job off. But just having a lot of fun doing these race weekends while we're all locked down here. And Seb had a good race today as well. So pretty happy in the Priaulx household.
Great. Well, have a lovely evening. It's great to have you in the championship.
Thanks, guys. Privilege. Nice to see you all. Well done to everybody.
See you later, Andy. So there we go. Andy Priaulx with a second place finish. Darren Turner finishing in third place. But Emanuele Pirro playing the game.
Hard to say. I mean, he would be the second one today. Siggy obviously mentioned he did it with the sim guys, so maybe that is some of the strategy moving forward. Either way, he conceded a lot of points to Button, so it may not have been the perfect situation. Shout out to Fittipaldi. He's got things working well in the right order. We'll find out and talk about all about that in just a second when we come back. Fittipaldi going forward, finally looking faster is awesome because let's face it, that is one of the coolest stories, having him at his age and all that he's done in motorsport, jumping into the sim world and showing his support for how legitimate this is incredible. But another person that really struck out to me this week was Mika Salo. He was much better than previous weekends as well, Jack.
Yeah, it was a very strong performance from Mika Salo, but an even better performance from Emanuele Pirro, who joins us now for an interview, I believe. Emanuele, congratulations. A great drive from you. What was your plan with qualifying? Did you intentionally get pole for reverse grid?
Yes, I did. But this is the first and last time in my life because, I tried to be smart. I tried to keep out of trouble, and it didn't work. So I think I deserved that. The pace was not fantastic, but I'm happy for a win.
Okay, congratulations. And you're still now in the championship fight with Jenson with this win.
Yeah, but Jenson raced a lot more smartly than me in the second one. So I'm looking forward to Indy. It will be a debut. And wow, I'm already scared, but great. Great privilege. Wonderful, wonderful day.
Okay, we'll see you at Indy. Can't wait.
Yeah. Love as well that they know ahead of time that they're going to be going to Indy. That's going to be an incredible competition, just like you can be involved in right now. If you'd like a chance to win a Rocket phone featuring 3D screen technology, just go to rocketphones.com and answer this question. Who are the current Williams Formula One drivers? Not only that, there will be some great offers available exclusively to the race fans on rocketphones.com right now. All you need to do is enter the promo code RACEOFFER, and you'll receive a free pair of Rocket earbud headphones worth $44.99 when you buy any phone. You can currently purchase a Rocket IO Pro phone for just £99 or the Rocket IO 3D for just £69, giving race fans a great deal on a new phone. Great to get involved in so many ways. Really, really cool that we've, got Emanuele Pirro talking about strategy, but also, like I said, that they've kind of got a week to prepare now, because typically the tracks are kind of kept secret and they only get a bit of time to prepare. Now, these guys going into contemporary machines, different cars, are going to have a full week to do setup. Maybe that'll make a difference. And maybe in Pirro's case, Jack, that might be beneficial.
It was only 4 corners, isn't it? How hard can it be? Don't at me. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, you better be. You're on your own for that one. So we'll see how that plays out. Well, welcome back again to everyone on ESPN. It's the Race All-Star Series powered by Rocket Phones. We've had an incredible day of racing yet again. Lots of action on social media. Be sure to check those out. I'm sure Jax is blowing up right about now because he's been involved in all of it. But this is just another great week. But next week might be one of the most exciting. We touched on it. We've got one of the most legendary grids ever heading to Indy. And they're going to be in the modern cars with time to prepare and get set up and really dialed in on this.
Up the inside of Adrian Fernandez. Montoya sends it on Mikazano. He's so close.
Going to be a pretty special race, I really do believe. Julian, you've not really done much oval, but certainly you're not unfamiliar with it. How do you think they'll fare in those cars?
I've never done anything like an oval. I can't wait. What I'm interested in is how the likes of Jenson Button can do against the oval regulars. Juan Pablo Montoya, always been a front runner, but he knows ovals a lot better than Jenson Button and Emanuele Pirro. So rumor has it there's a lot of technique in these ovals. Everyone that comes from Europe thinks how hard can they be, a la Jack Nicholls, and they get there and they're in for a shock. So it'll be interesting to see how Jenson and Emanuele can perform.
Right, well, you've stitched me up now because we've got Dario Franchitti on the line to talk to, and I didn't say there's nothing to it, Dario. 3-time Indy 500 winner. I gave you an extra on there. But firstly, how was your race today? It felt like a difficult day at Zandvoort.
Absolute carnage, Jack. I mean, yeah, the first lap got spun in the first race. Second race was coming through all that carnage and got hit by David Brabham, and I seem to have a magnetic attraction at the moment on those first laps. But then it was a decent fight back, actually. Racing with Adrian Fernandez, and it was fun racing, but just by that point, you're half a lap back, and it's all a little bit frustrating by that point. But the actual enjoyment of racing and trying to keep that Brabham BT44 in a straight line was good fun.
And what about next week then? Indianapolis. Have you done much of the ovals on the sim? Is that sort of a different thing to doing a street circuit on a road circuit on the sim?
Yeah, I think it's massively different. We did a bit of testing last week just to sort of try and help with the getting everything as it should be, with the sort of how much draft it gets, how close you can follow, all that sort of stuff, to make it as good a show as we possibly can. So if we can get through the first lap, I think it'll be quite a good race. But when there's nothing to risk, then all the old legends we all get a bit excited and try some crazy old moves.
Yeah, we've noticed, actually. We've noticed. What are you going to be helping sort of the guys that have never driven an oval before? For a Jenson Button and a Jan Magnussen, is this going to be a total eye-opener for them? Pirro just said on an interview that he's scared about next week.
Pirro's not scared. He's not scared of much, Pirro. But the good thing is, if you hit the wall, as opposed to spending a night in Methodist Hospital, you can just hit reset. And
and have another go. So I mean, Jensen and those boys, they'll figure it out pretty quickly. The ins and outs of it. As very much like the road course, it's a bit removed from reality. So you just got to figure out what works on the sim and what doesn't. But it will definitely be, I think, 3 and 4 wide on many occasions next weekend.
Okay, looking forward to it. Maybe I'm scared, actually. Maybe I'm scared. I think it's going to be mad.
You might need to wear a helmet in the comms booth.
All right. Thank you, Dario, for joining us. Good luck for next week.
Cheers.
Honestly, Jack, I think you should just wear a helmet all day, every day. It might benefit with all the hate you've been throwing at yourself. How hard could it be? Socials blowing up.
Is it actually blowing up? I'm going to check now. It's not going too bad.
I keep mentioning it in hopes that it will be. That's all.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I think it's because I don't have a big enough social media presence for anyone to care.
Maybe you're just too likable. No one can attack you. I don't know. I noticed Julian does the opposite. He just doesn't go on social media. He keeps it to himself.
Less policy.
Well, it works out well.
I probably get all the stick all the time, so I just don't look at it. That means I can just tarnish Jack's name instead and hope that I pass it on to him. Who knows?
Strategy. I like that. No, look, that's going to be a good race. And I think he's right. Those guys will figure it out quickly. There is a little bit less risk. We know that, maybe there's a bit more noses presented than you'd expect to see in real life. But overall, I think it should be a pretty exciting, lots of experience, lots of drafting, pretty similar, I think, when we watch it. I think we'll be surprised at how similar they actually approach it and attack each other in that race, Jack.
Yeah, well, I know Dario says it's different to the real world, and it is, obviously, because there's the lack of danger and all of that kind of stuff. But the fundamentals, and this is something actually I'll plug the Race esports podcast, which you can download, because we got into a lovely chat about this with Cem Bolek-Bassi and Petter Solberg. The fundamental things that the sim racers are doing are the same things you do to drive a racing car. Okay, there are things in the sim that don't work in real life. There are things in real life that don't work in the sim. But the fundamentals of what you're actually trying to achieve remain the same. George Russell said something about playing FIFA is not the same as driving a Formula One car. And yeah, but playing a FIFA or a Madden or something like that, an EA Sports kind of title, you're not doing the same thing. Whereas in sim racing, you are physically performing the same actions as driving a real racing car. That's the end of my rant.
Well, I'll even go and add to that and say, I'm someone who gets frustrated sometimes about inaccurate physics, but at the end of the day, you still have to adapt. It wouldn't matter what you were given to drive in real life. You still have to go fast. So you're right. There still is an element to that. It could be tire model, as is a very common term right now on social media around sim racing, but you still have to figure it out. So I think that's pretty important. The pro driving standings, we're going to bring those up and take a look because the results today certainly changed things considerably. This was a 1-point gap. Esteban Gutierrez to Nicky Team at the start of the day, and it is wide open now. It's 16 points between them.
Yeah, that's some quick maths, and I think that's really good news for Gutierrez. He was just tidy. He just kept it all together. He dominated race 1, was clean in race 2, and that's the reason he's got that huge lead. I think he's the most consistent driver in the Pro Cup now. There are others that have flashes of pace, flashes of speed, but Tom Ingram's crept up there into 6th position in the standings after a good performance, because coming into this race, Tom Ingram was 16th, and he's now up into 6th, so a very strong weekend for him.
Very impressive. And you have to as well consider the fact that changes things, not so much with Tom Ingram because he's racing under his own banner, but certainly in the team's championship, because this was also a 1-point gap. Aston Martin today, keep it very close by way of consistency. Obviously, Anthony Davidson didn't quite get as much done as he did in previous weeks. So that does give Mercedes a little bit more breathing room in that sense because of Gutierrez's performance. But it's other teams like Williams that, although the gap's significant, still had a decent day. We saw Augusto Catapino very, very successfully perform in the first race.
Yeah,
I think the thing with the teams. The thing with the teams is it's 2 cars that make it up. So you've got Gutierrez flying, but today Anthony Davidson didn't bring home the points. Aston Martin have been very consistent every time with their 2 drivers. They're both solid without ever really being spectacular, and that's what's counting right now for them.
Absolutely. And I think if we've got a chance to look at it, the Legends is another one. We talked about last week, Pirro had the lead due to penalties. And I remind you, the stewards do review all the races after the fact just to make sure they didn't miss anything. There was some adjustments. That meant that he and Button were at equal points coming into this. But now I think Button is quite clearly in the lead. It was interesting to hear Pirro say as well, he did plan to go slower. We thought his pace wasn't there in the first race, but it was actually that he was getting caught up in the carnage, Jack, throughout, and he couldn't really progress the way he wanted to, and he's already abandoned that strategy because of it.
And I like that. You know, I've nothing against people being clever and trying to get the most out of the rules, but then part of it is like, come on. Like, you know, let's try and do this a bit properly. If it were up to me, and I'm not the one making the rules, but like, you know, I think 107% is probably a bit too high for the Sim Masters that are all so close. But Button, yeah, okay, he's got more points than Pirro, but only by 4 points. So it's still super tight up at the top, heading to Indy next week, which I cannot wait for.
Yeah, super, super exciting. Just to point out, Magnussen as well, big accident in the second race. He would be much closer if not for that. So pretty remarkable. He's still in it, absolutely. Indy is going to make things very, very different. We look forward to seeing how that's going to go. Remarkable racing again today, and thanks so much to everyone for joining us.
Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebastian Vettel is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
You'll have to go, bro.